I want the top. All my people right there in the back of the spot. I need the top. If you know me, I want the top. All my people right there in the back of the spot. I need the top. If you know me, you don't know me to stop. I need the top. All my people there in the back of the spot. I need the top. What you got for me, world? What you got?
Rigid brought you the world's first patented curved light bar. Now, it just got smaller, slimmer, and smarter with the Rigid RDS SR Series Pro. This compact single-row light bar conforms to modern looks and projects more lighting to get you further. Boasting a compact design, gentle curve, and the same proven rigid quality, the RDS SR Series Pro is a new, sleek, and sophisticated way to own the night.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Fishgistics live from BajaHQ in San Juan Capistrano. We're here to bring you the Lucerna Hotel SCORE Baja 400 wrap-up show and also a preview of this year's Baja 1000 or Baja 800 as it may be. Just funning around a little bit. My name is Cameron Steele, driver of the number 16 Monster Energy BF Goodrich truck. Next to me, Ryan Arciero, the driver of the Levi's BF Goodrich sponsored trophy truck. And then next to him, Mr. Andy McMillan, driver of the Red Bull Toyo Tires, number 31.
31.
Took a
Thank
second to
Yeah.
That's pretty good, though.
That's
That's impressive you got all that down.
Yeah, so we're trying, you know, but hey, you've got a panel of trophy donkeys right here, and we're ready to talk a little bit of racing. There was quite a few stories that happened along the way. I think one of the big stories, of course, was random draw, the fact that there was a lot of dust, there was a lot of chaos, and I think the one thing we should start off with, I think that random draw is a part of the history of the sport. First of all, welcome to the show. I should probably say this. Ryan Arciero won the race.
Congratulations,
Ryan. I almost glossed right over that. I was going to wait, but I figured it's your code.
I was not going to let you.
Yeah, good job.
So
good job.
I got to savor it as much as possible.
Okay, so
should.
the couple of questions I have for you about that is, how long has it been since you've won? Because I know you've won the Baja 1000 a couple of times. You've won in trophy truck before. And the other thing is I want to hear a little bit about your motor package because that's something that we're not all totally switched on. So give us a little bit of those couple of things, and I'll let Andy tag you on the other side.
Okay. Well, first off, we may play a little contest. It's Friday, right?
Yes.
So it's Friday. Some people are working. Maybe
You
some
look at your
people
watch and
aren't.
see what the day is?
So, yeah, it's on the bottom right there, my Apple Watch. Friday, October 4th.
Oh, I don't have that feature.
perfect.
I don't have an
bit.
Apple Watch. I'm
So-
left out over here.
Well, what if we do for the guys at home, every time the word dust is mentioned, everyone has to take a shot or a slug of beer. What do you guys think?
I don't see any of those things here.
I need
No,
to
this is for our people at home.
later.
We would need Ubers to go home.
Yeah.
So, because it's going to be a shit show.
Oh, well, this is we definitely.
I wouldn't last very long, I don't think.
We play that push-up game where you can't say certain words. So I think if you want to do it, we
You have to
can
make
do
up a different
push-ups.
There we go.
If you say the D word.
This is going to be hard. This is going to be very hard.
All right. Are you in for that? I know Andy's in for it. He loves doing push-ups.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so
My
let's
dislocated
work out.
shoulder is healing nicely. So.
All right, so when was the
Okay.
last time you won the Levi's trophy
God, I
truck
know
wins?
it's so freaking difficult to win a trophy truck now.
It's
I
because
know
of this guy.
I know because of this guy, and even with him, you know how difficult it is
Yeah.
to win.
Yeah.
And it's been, I think it was 2014 when I won with Troy Herbst at Parker, and that was in the old trucks. And then prior to that was 2003 and 2004 back-to-back 1,000 wins with Mark Miller in the Perfect truck. So that's how long it's been, which is it's wild. And it's not for the lack of trying and busting your butt.
Yeah.
And because I know all of us kind of think the same way when we approach a race. It's all hands on deck, and we take this very serious.
Right.
We've been doing it for a very long time, and it's not just about racing the Baja 400. It's not just about saying I raced the Baja 1000. For us, what matters most is winning those events.
Yeah,
and to
absolutely.
win nowadays, to win at any point in your career is difficult. I think nowadays in the landscape of trophy truck, it is super difficult to win a race nowadays. And everything has to fall into place.
Especially in the category races that I would call A category races, which are races that have at least 12 trucks that can win and 20 trucks entered in the race at least. But I would say more entries. But, I would call the T1 race one of those because of the level of ability in the competition.
Yeah.
Even though there wasn't 25 trucks, the Mint would get that status because of everybody being there, except for maybe a couple people. But there's other races out there. But, to win one of these races that really is a focus of our sport is a monumental task. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's got to feel great.
I'm ecstatic. I'm still on a high from winning the race, and I know I will be all the way to take the green flag for the Baja 1000.
Well, part of the high is that you get to start first off the line in the Baja 1000. So,
exactly.
like you said, you're not going to get over that until you go off the line for the 1000. You're like, okay, now this race has begun.
Exactly.
I can concentrate on
You're exactly right. So I'm very fortunate. I have a great team behind me. I have a team owner that allows me to live my dream, and without him, I couldn't do it. I got to find sponsorship to go race, and or someone like Kyle that allows me to be able to live this dream of mine, this crazy dream that my wife sometimes says you are absolutely nuts to do. That takes you away from your family.
My wife probably shares the same opinion. I'm sure.
I'm sure all of our wives are talking once in a while.
They are.
Why are we married to these guys? Exactly.
What are you doing? You're going away for
well,
how long?
At least we can back it up with saying that we are at the pinnacle of our sport. We are winning,
right?
And we are sponsored. It's like it is our job.
Yeah.
So that it'd be different if we were just out goofing around in the desert. This is a real thing.
And it's hard when you're still, and to kind of play off that, Cameron, when you're still competitive and you're still racing up front and you have the ability to win. It's like I'm not ready to say stop yet.
Yeah, totally.
I'm sure there's going to be a day all three of us say, okay, I did everything I want to do. I'm done.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate. I'm already 32. I've been doing this for quite some time, but then not to call you guys old, but you're older than I am, and to see how.
Who's he talking to exactly?
You guys have won 2 races in the last year. You winning the 400, you won the 1000. You guys are very fast. You're very good competitors, and so that gives me some hope going into the future that still got a lot of years left, and you can still be competitive.
Jeez, you kidding me?
She's like, so 10 more years?
12 more years? An interesting stat. This isn't a good stat for us, Andy, because over starting with last season, the SCORE races have been won by 2s. Rob won the first 2 last year. We won the second 2. You won the first 2 this year, so it's kind of been going in 2s.
I like that.
So,
I think that's a great stat. I
So
really like that stat.
But the interesting part about that stat is that, and I think you could say maybe that 2 years ago, San Felipe, or maybe 3 years ago, San Felipe wasn't an A-level race because it didn't have as much competition. But I think over the last couple of years, I would say that it's definitely elevated with the start position stuff. But what's interesting about that is that Ryan being over 40,
46. I'm 46.
So, and Rob and I both older than that. It does give hope to younger drivers that there's possibility of winning, later in your career.
Yeah.
Which has been proven before. There's been other drivers that have won when they're a little bit older. Raglan specifically, someone you can talk about. Ivan. But I think that the sport's changed quite a bit. Not saying that when they won it was easier, but I will say that now there really isn't factory involvement, and now we're all kind of more on a level playing field, kind of. Budget comes into it. But the other thing with that is now the vehicle reliability has changed so much. Just huge. If you look at the results from this race, right? 4 trucks did not finish the Baja 400 in trophy truck, and 2 of those burned.
Yeah,
were on fire. So
from first all the way down to 17th, Troy Herbst. That's only 30 minutes.
Is that
separating
crazy?
Everyone?
So it used to be 30 minutes between first and second, or first and third.
Yeah. This was one of the topics that I was going to, and before I got to Ryan winning, I wanted to talk about is when you guys saw the course map for the 400. I know what I felt like, but I looked at it, I was like, oh man, that's a really one-line course. There's not a lot of opportunity to try to get around someone.
Yeah, it was. We've all done this for so long and used those same roads for so long. But I haven't really raced in Baja in September before either. I was down there testing in July, and the monsoons were rolling through, and up there by K77, it was all flooded out and washed out. And so I really honestly didn't know, because I'd just been down there, a month before testing, to know what the conditions were going to be like. But it was super dry, barely any wind. It was brutal. It was a brutal race.
It was. I mean, it goes back to like kind of what you were saying, Cameron, about being a one-line race course. And once you did a flash of the map, you're like, first thing in my mind is not going to be a whole lot of places to pass. And then you start focusing on areas like, okay, where will opportunities open up where I can charge a little bit, where I can, if the risk or the reward can outweigh the risk for that,
Right.
and I can get up behind somebody. If I blow a corner, I'm going to the bushes as opposed to going off a cliff or hitting a rock. And so you kind of start focusing a little bit more on that. But it's funny because at the finish line, one of the first questions, I don't know if you remember it, but one of the first questions you asked me after you said congratulations, which I appreciate, is, did you have any problems? And I said nothing, no flats, nothing. I said, what about you?
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. How did this race go for both of us?
Right.
And you're like, no flat, nothing.
Yeah.
And then I asked, like, I went back and talked to Bryce, and any issues? He says, no issues at all. And everybody I talked to is like, no issues.
Right.
And it's like, you could.
Yeah,
it just shows you couldn't sneeze at this race.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. You couldn't put a toe out for 400 miles on this race course with the elements that we experienced. Otherwise, you would have lost this race.
Right. And I wonder if that has something to do with the random draw and the pace being slowered by slower trucks, that were starting in front of us, that we're all maybe a little bit more cautious. I think if this race hadn't determined the Baja 1000, there's a lot of places I would have taken more chances to try and get through some of the dust.
For sure.
But it wasn't worth trying to run off the road, hit a rock, bend an A-arm, get a double flat to take you out of the contention of starting near the front of the Baja 1000.
And you make a good point. I had, you started two in front of me, and we had Robbie Pierce between the two of us, who I love him to death. And when we started the race, I caught Robbie pretty early, and I was following him through Ojos. And once we leave Ojos, we get into those silty sections. And I was about 15 to 20 seconds off of him. And the first thing that came to my mind is, I can't be this close to him going ththrough that. I'm going to end up in a tree. I'm going to end up somewhere else.
Yep.
And or parked on a rock. So I literally just backed the pace way off. And it's what I had to do. And just trying to think more clearly about getting a good finishing position, not screwing anything up in the first 40 miles.
Yeah.
I did that, got myself through that silt, and then once we cleared that, I started charging back up to him again. And fortunately for me, he ended up having a problem, and I was able to get around him.
Where did you get around him at?
It was about mile 60 or so.
Oh, so in between Ojos and K77.
Yes. And then when I did, I can see in front of him, because I can see him at every corner, and I can see that there was just air in front of him, and I'm like, Andy's gone now. And the first thought in my mind is, that's who's going to be setting the pace now, and I got to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
And so it gave me pretty much the entire race of free running. That was for the next 50 miles. It gave me free running to not have any dust, and then I bridged that gap to your group up there, and then it was once again lights out again until pretty much the finish. And at that point, all you're working with is little pockets of clear. You know, it's like, and what I tried to do is anytime I got a pocket of clear is just take advantage of it. So because I knew there's nowhere else. Where else can you go on a one-line course to try to take advantage of anything? Everyone's pretty much in the same line. There's not a whole lot of places you can be creative with.
Right.
So I tried to just take advantage of that all the way to the end of the race.
Yeah,
it was hard.
I was surprised we were in the trucks for 8.5 hours.
I was too.
Yeah,
I was too. We got to Ojos, and then the sun was in my eyes, and I'm like,
wait a minute,
how is the sun already down right now?
I was like, I didn't really plan for lights on the truck.
No,
we have them. But
so I did a pre-run lap in my old geyser truck, and it's got a smaller pre-run motor in it. Just kind of older technology in it. Doesn't have all the electronics and all that. Granted, on the highways, I wasn't always going 37 or 60.
Yeah.
But I pre-ran from Ojos to Ojos on the Wednesday before the race because the start and finish wasn't open, and I averaged 45.6 miles per hour in my geyser truck. And I looked at it at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, that's, okay. But so the race will probably be around 50, 52. Like
52
it'll be pretty fast. And then, I actually
it was 46.
It was 46 miles an hour. And I was like, man, that goes to show the pace of the race that day and just the dust that was just hanging. And also with the Baja 1000 looming that we were just kind of in a line and not really taking chances. What about your race, Cameron?
Our race was super clean. I mean, I felt super fortunate. People are like, oh, are you bummed Bryce is starting right in front of you? He's going to be hard to catch. I'm like, no, that's perfect. Let Bryce go. We'll just chase his dust. And frankly, I was a little surprised that we could stay in that range, And he ended up having to stop at K77. We were able to get by him, which definitely was helpful. But we had a great list of hitters right in front of us with Bryce, and then I believe in front of him was Robbie, and then in front of him was Rob, and then you.
Yep.
So we had great drivers right in front of us. I was like, yes. And we too also went by Robbie. He was Cisco's little brother was out with the fire extinguisher when we went by, but there was no fire, no smoke. We slowed down and looked. It was all good. But he was still stopped at the same spot that you had got by him. But yeah, I felt like we had a really good race going, and the truck was perfect. And we decided not to lean on it too hard, but still the pace was good, but not feverish. You know, like 2 years ago at the Baja 500, that's the fastest race I think we ever. That was crazy pace, that race. But we would get some dust. You know, I think it was Robbie we were chasing, and we went into the Mike's Loop. It was pretty awesome actually. We had a little bit of a pit hiccup, but still got out in about 40 seconds. But we got by Bryce at K77, then we got by Rob Mack, stopped at the beginning of Trinidad, and I was like, oh man, this pit's going to be so critical because we got to get out in front of these guys, and we did get back out in front of them, right behind Robbie.
Before the Mike's Loop or
before
after?
the Mike's Loop. And then the Mike's Loop, we chased Robbie, but then we got caught up behind another truck. We caught Dondell up there, and I'm not sure if he was like going and then not going, like he had something going on. But we were able to chase him down and get by him. And that was really the only straight up battle we had during the day. We knew that because we could hear Bobby calling out his race markers the whole time. So we knew Bobby was like right in our back door the whole time.
Do you think he was screwing with you at all too, like calling him early?
He could. He could.
I would do it. I've done it before.
Yeah, we do that too in the pre-run and stuff. But I thought it was pretty good. I mean, coming down out of Mike's, you know, true story, he went off that. Do you have that video?
Yeah, Walker's Corner.
Walker's Corner.
I saw the video of that.
Yeah, so he went off
Walker's Corner. But it looks legit. Like, he went off the edge, and I looked at it pre-running because, like, it's a really famous corner. We used to race it a lot.
Yep.
And I looked down. I'm like, man, that's down.
That's down.
You know? And then I saw the video, and he just drives down it. Almost like it was a shortcut. It pops back up.
Can you believe how hard he hits off like the jump on the the other side?
Yeah.
He's not scared, dude. He's a solid driver, and I think he made a good decision when he turned into it, obviously. But what's crazy is, you know, like during pre-run we talked about it, and then when I went by there in the race, knowing he was right behind me, I was going to push the button and say, hey, watch out for that corner. And remember the corner. Yeah. Then I'm like, oh, I'm such a micromanager.
Right,
just focus on your race.
Yeah.
And just, he's got it. Don't worry about it. And then I could hear later when we're in the pit, they were talking about it on the radio when we were on the highway. I was like, oh. But the most excitement I had all day was Bobby, right after he went off, he didn't lose a spot to Bryce right then. Bryce was right behind him. He didn't lose a spot, but then Bryce used the line and got by Bobby coming down the mountain closer down. So when we went into the changeover to the crossover road, which was probably the most white out section on the whole course, we were behind the 27, I think. And so Brenthal.
Oh, Brenthal.
And man, we could not go. Like, it was crazy. And I'm like, oh man, Bryce is right behind us. This is going to be really interesting. And there was a little bit of line usage in there, which went good. And actually the 27 pulled into their pit, and then we had some clean air, but we had a truck right there getting on the crossover road. Yeah. And they're like, dude, Bryce is like 18 seconds in your back pocket. I'm like, oh, awesome. We're getting on this awesome four-wheel drive road right now.
Where they shine.
Where they shine, and we'll see right now, right? So I was like, we kind of stepped up our game a little bit and made sure that we pushed pretty hard through there, but we smoked the brakes on the truck. We got it hot, which is obviously a stupid thing to do. Yeah. But I was like, okay, well, we're going to have this cool down, and if the brakes are totally crap, we're going to have like 4 minutes. We could bleed some fluid through it, but we don't want to like have Bryce come up on us, you know, and try to push the pass or whatever. But he didn't catch us, and actually when we came out on the other side, it was Picoy that was next behind us.
Oh.
So
yeah, Bryce cut a tire.
Yeah, he got a tire, I think, right?
Crossover.
Yeah. So, but overall, I think we had a great race. We were pretty close to Robbie, and the air was full of dirt, if you know what I mean. Because we're not supposed to say the D word, right, today. But we somehow lost a crazy amount of time to Robbie after the grass field. And I don't think he was speeding on the highway. He might have been, but I think we were off because our tracker had failed. and so we were playing on the very conservative side of it. So
Yeah.
because we can't tell when the tracker is giving you a warning or when you're close to the warning because
Right.
the GPS is so far off of the Stella. So we were like on the 35 and a half.
Yeah.
And so
Was your guys' Stella making noise this race?
It was. I didn't hear it, and I know like during pre-running, my navigator Travis he's like, thing's not making any noise like it usually does. Usually you can hear that thing pretty well. You can hear it with your speakers on and everything.
You know, the only sound I heard was on the ditch that my partner here at BajaHQ broke his back in Dust to Glory. At mile like 61, invisible hole.
Yep.
I heard it go off on that side, the cautions.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Scotty's like, oh, that's a caution for the hole coming up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I noticed it too because I saw it going off like crazy on the dash next to me. And I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell's that?
Yeah.
Is that a push to pass? What,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
going
Someone
off?
catching us? But no, we had a great race. I think, we went into it cognizant that we were like, all right, well, we kind of have a crappy start position, but we'll race fast, but just take no chances.
Yeah.
Baja 1000 is what matters. This race doesn't matter
What's
at all.
crazy, like the Baja 500, the attrition rate was huge.
Yeah.
You know, it was like me and Luke, and then Bryce started 10th, and he was the next truck, and then I forget who else, but it was big time gaps.
Yeah.
I think you were up there too.
We were up there, and then we had a
Same
failure.
thing.
We ran really well
Yeah.
until we lost a water line at 370. But you know, I think the difference in that is with the attrition is people running hard in the bumps. You know,
Yeah.
like this track, you can't say it didn't have any bumps, but I mean, when you start,
It was limited.
it's very limited. When you get
Very
down into
technical.
San Felipe, we ran that loop. We went over the summit, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so hard to just remember one race ago sometimes. But and then down through the desert, I mean, running all those bumps and
Yeah. Especially a
just
short race.
hard on the
And
equipment.
you know that someone's going to be running all out.
You know what?
and-
Actually, we lost a water line, and we were super pissed about it because we thought the Wiggins clamp failed, and is what caused the problem. But we ended up finding out that we broke a bar in our chassis, and pounding the bumps through San Felipe, and then
Just put a hole in the...
it moved the
Flexed.
bar,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
flexed, and because we had hard lines, the hard line was close enough to the bar where just that little bit rubbed the hole in it. And that's what did it.
I know we lost a shock that race. That's what ended up putting us out. So it was like, and we
Yeah.
were, I was having them all. It wasn't even from the bumps. It just was some freak deal, and that's what happened to us at the
Yeah.
500. But you're right, at the 500 too. Knowing that you're going to go to a draw for the 400, it's like, and the 500 is an important race for you to win because it's a big race.
Right.
You run hard.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with attrition. Talking about attrition, San Felipe did too. I mean, I was out by myself 15, almost 20 minutes ahead of the next car.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Right.
You know, the only saving grace. You guys were so far back that we had no tabs on anybody at that point. So
This race, my guys are like, kept asking when we go to the highway or anywhere, give me a split, give me a time. They're like, it's too close. We don't have enough good data to give you the splits.
Right.
I'm like,
I was the same way.
I just told them on the radio, you guys
I didn't
are
know
jerks.
where I was until I got back to the Ojos right before that last pavement section.
Yeah.
And they told me how close Ryan was and that I was leading. I'm like, well, that's great.
yeah,
And then I asked, how far is the gap? And then I got into the dirt.
yeah.
And it was a lot of dirt in the air.
Yeah.
And I asked
After the Pepsi stand. Yeah.
after the Pepsi
Yeah,
stand.
yeah.
Yep. And then I'm just in constant blindness.
Yeah.
We have
And
a
I'm
video from the last little section there.
Yeah.
If you want to watch it.
yeah,
Sure.
you posted
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Is this where Ryan cheats?
This is possibly a
My cheater line?
cheater line.
And
I filed
Tavos.
I filed a pro. Yeah, I went through there too.
You know, it's funny because you came over this rise right here, and the sun like right in your face.
Yeah.
And I'd love to say that I had that line planned out and it was good to go. I just ended up going there because that's all I could see.
Oh,
So
really?
it was dumb luck.
I knew
I
that.
knew the road's there, but I didn't realize it was on it until after I was.
I did too. That road has always been there. We've
Yeah.
always raced on it.
Yeah.
I've always, and then there's usually a pretty good sized
Ditch?
rain
Rain
rut
rut, yeah.
that you got to get over. So in the morning I was pre-running it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just gonna stay around it. It's
Yeah.
a couple seconds.
Yeah.
See, I couldn't remember when I got on it if there was a rain rut on the far side before you get to the trees. So I tiptoed at the end of it not knowing.
Yeah.
There was a rain run.
There was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you see all the dirt hanging, and this is around where I was like, hey, what's the gap? Then they told me Lofton was the next truck behind me,
Yeah.
and then it should have been Impudia, but I think he cut a tire and he got around him.
Well, the next truck behind you is Ryan, I think, right?
No, it was
They
Lofton.
just missed Lofton.
Oh, they missed Lofton.
And then so I go, how far behind Lofton is Ryan?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, Lofton's about 30 seconds behind you, and then Ryan's about a minute and a half behind Lofton, and you have by 13 seconds or 20 seconds, whatever
Yeah.
the time slip was. I'm like, oh, man. because I knew that Ryan had clear air to now push up into Lofton.
Right.
And I was held up, and Lofton was going to push up into me. And I'm on the last little speed section coming into the finish. I'm like, dude, as long as Ryan didn't break, which I know he didn't, we just lost the race right there.
Yeah, so right where that video was. So once we left the Pepsi stand, I had
And that video, just so we're clear, that's after you come through the arches after the Pepsi stand. You're at about 20 miles from the finish.
Robbie and I think it's Luke Johnson fighting. It's just after that.
Right. And you've only got about 4 miles of racing before you get to the speed zone.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like 7 or 8 miles.
Is it 7 or 8 miles?
And then it's like 10 miles of speed zone, and then like another mile in the wash that we got to run.
But it was right after that's taken. Like you get down to the trees, and then at that point I'm stuck behind Lofton's dust. So now we're just running all together.
Right.
And I didn't know. They told me that it was seconds to you at the meadow in Ojos. And so when I could, I went.
Yeah.
And then once we got it to the new highway section, there's 5 trucks. I see all 5 trucks all piled up. I see Lofton. I see you. So then I was talking to Travis, my navigator. I said, let's see where Andy's at. And I think it was around 30 seconds physically. And I'm like, we got him. We got him. So I said, when we get into the wash, I said, I'm telling, because we're only 15 now behind Lofton. I said it's gonna be lights out. Right. I said, just watch that GPS. And I said, I don't want to hit the bridge.
Yeah.
I said, but we got to kind of go. And Travis was so on it. And then you get down into it, you get into the dirt and then mud,
Right.
And I'm hoping, you're not hydroplaning, spinning out.
There's some rocks in there.
Yeah, we were a little bit careful because we did kind of hydroplane a little bit towards that one bridge. And I was like, it's kind of sketchy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Actually slowing down a little bit for that water cost us 5th place. We lost 5th place by 2.5 seconds.
Really?
No way.
See, that's how close it is now.
We lost.
It's amazing.
The math actually is 2.5 seconds to 5th.
It's actually 2.8.
41 seconds behind the 41. And a minute 21 off Tavo. For third.
That just tells you got different.
That's how close it was.
You got different make trucks. You got different engine packages. You got different shock packages.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you how close, even with those changes, how close this racing is nowadays.
There's a lot of good widgets out there.
It is.
There's a lot of good equipment, a lot of good reliable equipment.
Absolutely.
So,
what did you guys think? Kind of getting off that a little bit. What was your guys' take on the neutralized zone from Yano, Colorado to Collindale?
I'm a fan. I liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. They messed up and started Tavo in front of Miller by mistake.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
So there was a mistake.
They had the number. They had the vehicle number right that they wrote it down on at Yano, Colorado, where we hit the highway. But they wrote his seconds down wrong of when he got there to Miller. So instead of going off of the vehicle number, they went by the time, because the time really says when he should be restarting down there. And so we're sitting down there. I did my full pit. Miller did his. I pull up first because mine was right there in the dirt. Miller pulled up, and there's like a space between us. And then Tavo rolls in, and I actually got to go to the bathroom, which was awesome. So I'm really big fan.
I really wanted to do that, but I didn't get to. My guys yelled at me, "Don't get out!"
It was amazing. I was planning on doing a slow pit stop. I'm like, we're gonna have a couple minutes. There should be no one in front of us. Take your time on the tires. Don't strip a lug. And then I was coming to it. I'm like, hey, go all out, because I want to be able to get out and go to the bathroom, but I have to hold the brake because my truck doesn't have an automatic, doesn't have park. And so I got out and did my little thing. And luckily there was all the fans were on one side, so I could go to the restroom on the other side of the truck, which was nice. And then, then we're sitting there. He's like, okay, 3 minutes. I'm like, okay, 3 minutes. I got time. We're sitting there, and then Tavo rolls up. And then all of a sudden, a couple of score guys are talking to each other, and then they wave Tavo forward. And then I was like, oh, our guys must have got it wrong. Tavo must have been first on the crossover road, and then Cantina right at the end. There was that shortcut across the field.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe Tavo went down there and bonsai'd it and got around him, and I didn't really know. And I didn't know until we got to the finish line and saw Knuckles, who was in Miller's truck, and he was all upset. And they said, oh, they messed up, and they started Tavo in front of us. And really, I just followed them two from there all the way back.
Maybe that was the guy that adjusted Tavo's light bar that was doing the time.
Might have been. But I also didn't think they thought it was going to be that close between. We're all stacked up.
Yeah.
We're all stacked up because I'm sitting behind you guys watching. Tavo comes up behind me because he must took a little longer in his pit. Comes up next to me.
Oh, you were already sitting there.
I was
too?
already sitting there. Yeah. So
Wow.
and I saw you take off. Then I had Lofton and Impudia both in front of me at that point. And but I said at the end of the day, I did like it. I like the fact that we're taking the racing out of the highways, which is what it's intended to do. I felt more relaxed. When you're in the speed zone, I'm more tense.
I am too. It was a bummer because on the first highway section at the bottom of the goat trail, I was right behind Impudia. They pulled in and did a full pit. I got around him, but then I was planning a splash. And then Tavo did a full pit as well. And then Tavo pulled back onto the highway right there, right in front of me. So he started out maybe 50 yards in front of me. And then on my Stella, I just kept it at 37 and on my speed limiter. And I just kept closing the door on him and then got right onto his bumper. But now I have nowhere to go. But I'm slowing down because we're not allowed to pass on the highway. Yep, so now I'm giving up time to someone.
Yeah.
And then I pull into my pit, Ryan. I pull into my pit, and we do a quick splash of fuel. And then Impudia goes by me with like 5 seconds to spare. And so I'm like, man, that just cost me one position right there. And I could have been behind Tavo instead. But I liked it because it takes that part out of the game. Like that shouldn't be part of our racing on how fast you can keep it at 37 and not get a speeding penalty.
Sure.
I got 18 seconds of speeding penalties for my first time ever racing. I got a speeding penalty because I was just pushing it that much on that section, trying to make sure I didn't lose any time.
And it's like you talk about speeding penalty. Obviously,
Any questions?
You're not intending to go over 37, but you're pushing the envelope, making sure you stay at 37.
Yeah.
And in these trucks, it's not so easy to do. Even when you have a speed limiter, the thing could toggle between 37 and a half, 38.
And a little downhill, a little uphill.
Heck, you can go to 30. It can go to 34 to 39 in a blink of an eye.
Oh, absolutely.
Before we had the Stellas, you're like, ah, and your GPS, because the GPS goes like this the whole time.
Yeah, no, I was a big fan. It was actually really nice.
I liked it.
I hope they do. I hope they incorporate Jose G. It was great that he did it. Tried something new. I hope he incorporates it more for the 1,000 for the future because I did love it.
Speaking of Jose G, I think again, I know we constantly say we like what he's doing, but he's been doing a great job,
for sure.
And really like what he's doing. I like his rule enforcement, and I like that he's willing to step up and make some changes and throw some ideas out there. And
it's not easy. I mean, you're getting it from all sides from us yelling at him and not liking this or not liking that. We all got opinions. We're all armchair.
But what I like about Jose is that I'll message him before the race and I'll tell him about certain sections or hey, there's no VCP here. There was last race. What's going on? What about this? And he's very open and honest about why he does things the way he does.
For sure.
Where you can go, where you can't go. And I really appreciate that about him. He's very open book.
And he responds right back to
you.
you.
I think the thing that really is important about that is that he really knows the sections, right? He's really intimately involved. And you're not asking something that was just laid out by the BFG guys and then no one saw it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that he really understands and knows he has a lot of race history with some of the other series as well. And I think it's been really great for all of us. He's been super solid.
Yeah, agreed.
Speaking of open and honest, I know a few people here were talking about Andy's interview at the finish. So Andy wasn't super happy on his finish. Let's play it here and tell us what was going on, Andy.
Oh wow! Zing!
Your current points leader, and right now.
So you're not going to hear it here, but the big Andy knows he got beat.
Yeah, so across the finish line. The thing was I knew, we were leading the race. I knew coming down that last straightaway of pavement that we had lost the race because Ryan was right behind me. And so I was.
You could see me back there too.
I could see Lofton.
Okay.
And I saw his yellow lights, and I knew you were right behind him because of the dust.
Yeah.
And
so
you
I'm
had passed Lofton
I'm.
during the day?
Yeah, Lofton had a flat just after Ojos. Him and Cops, and they hit the same rock, and they were both pulled over within like a quarter mile of each other. Because I saw the big rocks in the middle of the course after they came
I do
by,
that all
which
the
I
time. You
admired.
drive along like, oh, someone must have just hit that.
Yeah, so I mean,
Hey, you know what? I think it's all fair and love and war, man. You speak the truth.
Yeah.
A little bit pissed off. I mean, you got to remember it, and there's an armchair quarterback for everybody, right? The fans have plenty to say about it, whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
You know what? it's your race and it's how you felt, and I don't think there's any right or wrong. And if you were pissed, you're pissed, and if I'm pissed, I'm pissed. You know, I mean, people are sticking a microphone in your face after you just raced for 8.5 hours, spilling your guts out, not able to see for the last 70 miles. I mean, it's just part of it.
And you put everything you have into those races. And I don't mean monetarily. I just mean your heart and soul and training before, pre-running before, all the logistics, sitting down there and planning with your team. And it comes, you know, the racing part of it is 10% of the whole picture. And that's what the racing part is what we'd love to do. But you work so hard to make sure you have the right package.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And yeah, it was just, you know, I wanted to win 3 in a row because I wanted to try and sweep the SCORE races, which would have been really awesome.
Didn't work out too well.
It didn't work out. I came up a little bit short because of Ryan right here. But yeah, it was, you know.
I feel really bad for you.
It was still a good race. We started second at the 1,000.
Feels super bad for you.
Yeah.
Ryan runs hard. So
hey, so where are you going to pass him at 1,000? That's what everybody's going to want to know. Come on.
I don't know.
I know you've already thought about it.
I guess it depends on what section I'm going to end up driving.
Yeah,
if
so
it's going to be me or not.
Let's not shift gears off the 400 yet. Let's bring in Jason from Herbst Motorsports. Jason Montez, the navigator for Tim Herbst. And the number 19. Sorry, I almost said the 54. But Jason, welcome to Fishgistics. For those of you not familiar with what happened at the race, we actually had a couple of trophy trucks that caught fire. Dan McMillan's truck actually unfortunately burned to the ground, and Tim and Jason's truck caught fire, and they were able to get it out thanks to the help of fellow drivers stopping with fire extinguishers and fans able to throw dirt on. Jason, welcome to Fishgistics.
Thank you. Yeah, first and foremost, I got to give a big ups to Ryan Pullman, stand-up guy, and I legitimately don't think we would have got it out without him.
So tell us what happened. First, not what happened. Walk us through that moment in the race. What had happened? What position were you off the line? And
so we started 21st. I think we were right behind Bobby.
Yeah, 2 behind us, right?
And then, like I said, right in front of Pullman. Everything was good. Everything looked normal, just like how you go through the motions and stuff like that. And we took off. Everything was fine. We're not even settled in yet. You know how you're tense, you're tight, you're not even sweating, you're just getting to go. And we left, it was probably right after we turned out of the sewer, went down, and where you get on like that new freeway exit.
Yeah.
We hit it's like a driveway where it's like not asphalt, it's like concrete.
Yeah, shifts to the side.
Yeah, it shifts to like 45 left. And as soon as we hit that, like I saw like a puff of something. Dirt is what I thought it was. And I lift up my visor and I can smell it. I said, "Hey, Tim, we need to check this out." So I loosened up my shoulder straps, dropped the window in it. And as soon as I stuck my head out the window, I could see the flames. We're on fire. So as soon as I could tell him, "Get over, we're on fire," that's as fast as the car was like fully engulfed.
We have a video of it at that point.
It was
right
early, mile 8, 7.6.
And just so you guys know too, just in front of Jason is where the oil tank sits for these trucks, for these trucks as well. So I don't know. Did we find out what had happened or what caused it, or because obviously these trucks are built pretty sound.
Yeah. First, take us through the moments right here. I mean, the tear and panic. So you guys, the cab's engulfed, and you guys are jumping out the sides.
Yeah,
right?
I ended up jumping out Tim's side. And then since all the comms were burned, I went in and got our cell phones. But I had, like, as we were pulling over, I had already pulled over. Here you see Pullman. Pullman stops. We already used up 2 extinguishers, the fire bottles, and then we got his, and that was really the key to help getting it out.
Which is awesome.
So he gave you 2.5 or 2 5-pounders?
2 5-pounders.
2 5-pounders.
So we have there's 2 5-pounders on the truck, right?
So we have the suppression system is it's made from 2 Safecraft 5-pounders, and that's for the occupants and the motor and trans.
Did you see that go off?
I did.
Cold that?
I did, yeah. It's like a really cold, clear liquid.
Did it do much to the fire, or was the fire off to the side of it, so even that wasn't really going to do a whole lot?
It was more centralized, and like Ryan said, the oil tank. So it wasn't really paying attention to that, but it's more so to just preemptive measures for the
Did-
drivers.
Did it dissipate it at all? Did it do anything when you pulled the
The
pink
bottles
bottle?
weren't necessarily in the way of the fire, so
Yeah,
like I said, they just kind of sprayed on us. And we're getting out. Everything happens really quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's
Well, you think to yourself, you're like, okay, man, I probably have some time here to go grab the bottles and start putting this out. But even during that time, things are getting hotter and hotter, and more engulfed, and it's just getting more fuel.
Yeah.
So what was on fire? The body?
it was it was
tire?
a combination of a few things. There was like the body, the exhaust, panels, wiring, all the comms melted, everything in that.
Do you know
general
what it was
area.
that started it? Now back to
Yeah.
Andy or Ryan's question, whoever it was.
Yeah, so it was just the speed limiter, just dumping a bunch of fuel. I think once the muffler got plugged up, it probably came out of the merge collectors or wherever it could get air out and
So it's dumping extra fuel.
flashed. Yeah, and I think it just flashed at some point. And
So
then-
it probably flashed the body. It probably flashed the body.
Flashed the
Probably
body.
Got the body first, and then it just
yeah,
was just
it's weird because the
snowball
carbon
from
doesn't
there.
really melt when it's like when you see the aftermath of the fire. The carbon cloth is still physically there. I think it's the resin that flashes,
Mhm.
and then that's where you get the spark to ignite or as an accelerant to light
Yeah.
off other
A question I
things.
can't answer is carbon or fiberglass more flammable? Is
That's
one
actually a
better
question
than
I
the
don't know.
other?
You figure the resin would be super flammable.
I would think fiberglass would be, but I'm not
Yeah, I think-
100% sure on that. It seems like it,
I
because
think-
like you said, the carbon is still there, and even looking at Dan's truck, some of his carbon panels were still there.
Mhm.
The rest of
Yeah.
the truck was gone.
Gone,
so
yeah.
If I had to guess, I'd say the fiberglass is much more flammable.
Yeah.
Huh. So unfortunately, I've been on fire a couple times in the car, and I know the fear and the panic. We had a rear of the car on fire from a tire coming apart in 08, and actually we tried both our fire bottles and didn't put it out. Ended up jumping back in the car and driving it. And navigator was Justin Smith, and I drove around in a big circle. And he's like, yes, like the fire is going back. So I drove by and had him jump in through the window, and we took off down the dry lake bed until the fire dissipated out the back because it was starting to burn our cell.
Oh,
When we were
Wow.
just sitting there on the dry lake bed,
Yeah.
but we couldn't do anything. But there was it didn't seem like it. I mean, when it's in the front of the truck, that's a
Yeah.
whole different animal, And,
Yeah.
and being around but the one I think I was worried about at the time was the gas, but it was just,
So-
it was a fire where the brake line had been ripped off. So it was really centralized.
Mhm.
So when we just drove without putting on the brakes, the fire went out the back and eventually it burned out of material.
Yeah.
But the situation with the fire in the front there, I've had that too, where the fire is shooting through the little holes in the panels and stuff, and there's nothing you can do but jump out of the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, try to pull the bottles. It kind of goes to, we unfortunately we had two of these, and both of them in a trophy truck for this race. Like, okay, what do we learn from this? What changes can we make to ensure that if this happens again, we're better prepared? I think we've talked about it before. You're never going to be 100% because you're going to learn something from every time. I don't think there's a answer because every situation is different.
And let me clarify that this is all opinion based. This
Yes.
is not,
No,
there's no
yeah.
facts here.
Agreed.
Especially, whatever he does or whatever I do or whatever anybody else does isn't necessarily the right way to do it. It's just a conversation. So again, this is all just opinion based stuff. And, I think that talking about Ryan, what is the key to fire suppression in your opinion? Both you guys, all of you guys. What you were just involved with it. What's the biggest key, or what could have been done better or different?
So I think everyone's trucks are pretty well sorted in the way of safety. For me, it was having retrospective thinking. And what that is kind of playing out the scenarios in your head before they happen and really mentally preparing yourself. Because we spend all our time preparing for the race, right? We memorize the turns, we do the notes, we find our lines, stuff like that. But then there's the unknown that we can't control, which is the spectators, the course, the weather, the this and that. And then there's like the scarier things like crashes and fires and stuff like that. And those sorts of disasters that are kind of in their own category.
So you're saying fire drills?
Fire
That's
drills,
a good,
yeah.
that's actually a good point.
Just to mentally prepare yourself,
you
playing the scenario.
getting
over
out of
and
the truck
over.
quick enough
Yeah.
when it's
In
on
your
fire.
head.
Well,
Yeah.
you figure too is the time that you waste, and we would all be guilty of this. The time you waste trying to assess and trying to figure, okay, where do I got to go grab stuff because everything's happened so quick. that's time that fire is fueling up more and more as well.
Right.
So without a true plan, hey, this happens, boom, this is A, B, C, D, E, to get this.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think having that, like I said, the retrospective thinking, it's playing the scenario over and over in your head, to where when you're faced with that situation, there's less decisions that have to be made because you have already thought it through. You already have reacted to yourself in your mind, and you're playing it through. So then it takes less thinking. And luckily, thank God we got out quick enough, because I think I didn't send you the pictures. The other pictures that we had that we could put up just from a guy that was there. We were coming down the road on fire, and as fast as we could stop and put it into park, it was as fast as it was fully engulfed, like you saw it in the video.
And that's kind of the same thing that happened with Dan's truck. I actually do have a video of Dan's truck from a local that was there. So I don't think anybody's seen this yet. This is a video of Dan's from a local, and they literally said this happened in like 10 seconds about how fast it went up. So let's put on Dan's here.
They still don't know, obviously, now that damage. They don't know what happened.
So I mean, that was in a matter of seconds, and the whole truck is just nothing you could do about it.
And does anybody, Andy, have you talked to your cousin or Ryan? Do you guys know what caused the fire, what they think caused it, I should say?
I don't think they know, and I don't think they will know, judging by what is left of the
It's kind
truck,
of all theory and
unfortunately.
speculation
Yeah.
until you can get it to the shop, and like you said, there's not much left to see.
I know he said it was kind of he had a really good race going, and then but right before he got out of the truck, around, I don't know where their pit was. I don't know if it was before the crossover road or after, where Bean got in. But I know I talked to Brady, who rode with Dan and rode with Bean, and he said it kind of popped a couple times, and it wasn't running 100%. They weren't really sure what it was. But I mean, they made it. That's almost on the road back into San Tomas, or is on the road back into San Tomas right there.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's a ways after that.
That's 3/4 of the race already.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have on your truck for fire suppression? What is your?
Ours is the same as the 19s, because the truck's built, the 32 is built in the same shop and has all the same equipment, and it's 2 5-pound external bottles, and then you have the 2 5-pound suppression systems in the truck too, which you would think would be enough. The other problem is what happens if the back of the truck's engulfed, and those are where the external extinguishers are.
That was one of the things that happened to us when I was talking about Justin and I. We were able to get, because it was at first, it wasn't a big fire like you guys are talking about. It was off the back of the truck, but we were able to get the fire extinguishers off. But they didn't do much because it was a tire and it was brake fluid.
Yeah.
So we were fortunate not to have to.
Yeah,
but like I said, you could see the fuel cell starting to drip.
That's not good.
Whatever the cell material is inside the tin. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I actually think on my all-wheel drive, I just have one extinguisher on the back. And I don't even know if it's a 5-pound extinguisher or, to be honest, really what it is.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. I try not to think about crashing or fire because I never want it to happen.
Of course.
The reality is that it does happen.
Yeah.
And I think the more, like you said, the more ready you and prepared you are for it, the more calm you will be in the situation to kind of react to what you need to do.
I know on our truck that we won the Baja 1000 with, we have 2 10-pound onboard flame out system, and we have 2 5-pounds on the back. The truck I'm driving now, I believe, has 2 10-pounds and 2 5s on the back, but I'd have to double check that. For sure has 1 10-pound.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. We definitely have the onboard suppression system. I don't know if that's a SCORE rule, to be honest.
Well, they give you like a minimum for the amount of extinguishers, and you can use that for whether you want to use it towards suppression system or having removable extinguishers and stuff like that. You just have to have the minimum, which
I don't know what the minimum is, but one of you guys brought up a good point that the lines tend to go into the fire bottle lines go into the cab and out into the motor and tranny, but someone said they don't go to the back of the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, where the fuel cells are, which you need to protect probably the most in a fire.
For sure, and that's where your handhelds are typically, because there's really no place else to put them. There's not a lot of room in the cab to put them, so that's where they have to go. So if the back is engulfed, how do you get to those at that point? You're not going to. And if you pull suppression system's going to handle the front of the truck and the cab, so that's not going to do anything back there.
Some of the smartest things I ever saw, I believe, were the Scaronis. They used to have a reflective red and white sticker that said fire for fire extinguisher where it was on the truck. So a fan or anybody can see how to get to that fire suppression.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which I haven't seen. It's not on our truck, which I think would be a good idea to do. But the Scaroni's definitely had something that let people know where that fire extinguisher was. It's so scary. I mean, I don't know that there's a exactly right answer, and I'm sure there's probably plenty of wrong ones. But
and I know maybe there's something else out there too. I think my cousin Brandon is working with a company now that it's a ball. And if he's on here listening, maybe he can show pictures of what it is. I haven't learned enough about it yet. But the ball, as soon as it sees so much heat, it explodes. And it explodes with the powder and stuff that like an extinguisher has, and it helps suck the air out of the fire. And I think they're only as big as your either your hand or two hands. I think you can place them in different areas. So I'd almost be curious to see what he. I don't know a whole lot about it. Based on I think it's based on heat. How much heat it sees.
I just sent you the.
Did you have you seen that before?
Yeah, he's gonna pull it up right now.
See if I can get it.
Someone actually sent that to me after.
What's it called? I've never heard of it
like,
before.
I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like EPID or
Brandon. If you're listening, post it up on the
they look super rad.
Fishgistics page what it is, but I know he has something to do with the company on it, and I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but this is maybe a good thing for people to start looking at. Maybe it's an alternative or an add-on to what we already have.
Yeah.
Or definitely, or maybe a minimum on amount of fire extinguishers or size of fire extinguishers on the race vehicles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've been talking with Pat O'Keefe from Safetycraft, and he was showing me a new nozzle that they have that's temperature based in case the drivers or the co-riders are incapacitated. Yeah. As soon as it reaches like 285 degrees Fahrenheit, they go off automatically. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mine went off testing one time.
Oh, it
That's
did?
the only.
Brian's went off in the shop one time.
We pulled it accidentally before.
Yeah,
he caught it.
Yeah,
pulled it. You know,
these ones are automatic. They go off like when they sense a certain amount of heat.
In your car.
Yeah.
One of my trucks, my two-wheel drive, I think had it originally, and then it went off during a test, and we're like,
whoa,
well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Right.
What if it goes off during the race?
Yeah.
And then you need it.
Yeah.
So we went back to the old-fashioned pull one.
Yeah.
But I think if there's other racers watching, you need to check those bottles
Regularly.
and the fire extinguishers. Because
Yeah.
those things go bad. Those things corrode. You know, I've pulled ones off my old race cars when I used to prep them way back in the day. And
Back when we had
probably useless. At that
back when we had
thing
the,
and really
comes
useless.
out.
The other thing that people don't realize is that it just kind of clicked to me because then you start really, like you said, you learn by experiences and you start researching things. You take your car home from a race and you wash that thing off and you WD-40 it and do whatever you're going to do. The nozzles get filled with crud and they get all gummed up, and over time it hardens, and then you've plugged up your nozzles and you can't use them when you really do need them. So
scary.
stuff.
It's scary.
It's like it goes back to there's no right answer, but I think we can all do a better job of something, whatever that is.
And honestly, to most, I know there weren't any injuries this race, I don't think, with you or Tim.
no, we made it out.
And with
okay.
Dan's truck, with Bean or Brady, but a lot of it is the race truck that you're saving, which are not inexpensive machines.
No.
And then in the event that you're upside down or you're in a bad spot and you catch on fire, you know what I mean? I think that's the most serious thing. And I think if, like you said, the truck catches on fire, pull over, get out, assess the situation as much as you can, but there's probably so many things running through your mind to try and figure out what should I do, where am I going?
But I think that's
throw dirt on it.
Jason has I think a very valid point is getting that in your thought process of what are the steps in case this happens, because I think we start wasting time, right? So like I said, all of us would do the same freaking thing. You'd scramble a bit. Well, that time you waste scrambling is probably the window you need to get this thing out as soon as possible,
or to get yourself out safely. Yeah. Luckily, we were in an area that was still close to town, and there was plenty of people around. I know there was a local who lent us a hand with grabbing our extinguisher, and he had a small one that helped out.
Really?
But it flashed. We used ours, we used his, and then it reflashed.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, we're stuck. We're on we're on the highway, but we're going to go to the side of the road, start scratching up dirt to try to get it on.
And I think that's what I think Dan had told me. That's kind of what happened to theirs with Bean and Brady is I think they thought that maybe they had it somewhat under control, and then it flashed again. And by that time they were completely out of bottles, out of everything, and the location they were at. I mean, there's nothing you can scoop up. There's no sand. The dirt's hard.
The ground's too hard.
It's too hard to do anything at that point.
I think that's when you get to the point of no return, to where, like, luckily ours was pretty superficial, but the point of no return is when you light an oil tank and the oil flashes, or your fuel line or a shock oil, you burn a line, and then it just adds fuel to it.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is we don't have the exact right answer. Everybody's got to come up with their own plan. Maybe there's some place people can go to get the proper information. I don't know if one of the safety groups has that, but again, this is all opinion-based stuff we're talking about. The only thing I think we can all agree on is that fire is incredibly scary and very dangerous, and something not to be messed with for sure.
100%.
Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the finishing order for the.
We're gonna commercial first.
Right.
We need to take care of the sponsors.
I understand.
Okay, come on now. This is your MO.
The finishing order for the Baja 400 will set the field for the Baja 1000. We'll talk about that when we come back. Should be interesting. We'll talk about some of the proposed team-ups or some of the things that we're hearing about happening out there. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the Baja 1000 and what to expect in some sections. Again, of course, all opinion-based, because we're just here for fun. There's no facts actually being delivered. Well, maybe some.
Except for
We'll be right back.
I won the Baja 400. I know that.
That's a
fact.
I want the top. All my people right there in the back of the spot. I need the top. If you know me, you don't know this. I want the top. All my people right there in the back of the spot. I need the top. If you know me, you don't know me to stop. I need the top. All my people there in the back of the spot. I need the top. What you got for me, world? What you got?
Rigid brought you the world's first patented curved light bar. Now, it just got smaller, slimmer, and smarter with the Rigid RDS SR Series Pro. This compact single-row light bar conforms to modern looks and projects more lighting to get you further, boasting a compact design, gentle curve, and the same proven rigid quality. The RDS SR Series Pro is a new, sleek, and sophisticated way to own the night.
Welcome back to Fishgistics, part 2 of this show. Of course, we're just talking Baja 400. We're going to shift gears to Baja 1000. Co-host Ryan Arciero, Andy McMillan, our guest Jason Montez from the Herps team, number 19 Navigator. Let's talk a little bit about the finishing order. Here's how it wrapped up for the trophy trucks. Ryan Arciero, of course, the winner. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
About a minute and a half, a little bit less actually, behind Andy McMillan. What's the actual split, Andy? I'm sure you know it by heart.
I don't, because I had speeding penalties.
The numbers burned
it
into
should
his
have
mind.
been-
Seared
It should
into
have
his
been a
head.
minute 19.
Should have been a minute 19. Tavo, Gus Vildosola Jr. in third. Justin Lofton in fourth. Alan Ampudia. Ampudia family with a great run in the top five.
Good run for Lofton,
Both of them,
actually,
yeah.
and Ampudia.
Yeah, definitely.
And Tavo too. I mean, Tavo had a little turnaround as well. I know they've struggled.
Yeah.
And then, of course, us, a minute 21 out of third equals sixth, which is a little frustrating. BJ Baldwin, who had a good run. There was some clean air for him there. There was, we didn't talk about it, but
He's had a good turnaround too.
he's had a great turnaround. We're stoked to see BJ on the move. Chris Miller in his new four-wheel drive. And who did you say he was driving with down there? Was it
Jimmy Knuckles?
Jimmy Knuckles. Jimmy's a great driver. They came with 8th place. Then Ricky Johnson and Larry Connor, the Team C truck, were in 9th. And then my teammate, Bobby Picoy, in the number 14, finished 10th. Then Bryce Menzies, Luke McMillan, top 12. Mike Walzer, 13. Robbie Gordon, Dave Taylor, Zach Langley, Troy Herbst, Corey Kesar, Rob McCachran, and Jonathan Barenthal will round out your top 20 starting order for the Baja 1000. Wow, we're already talking Baja 1000. Feels like it was just the San Felipe 250, or well, 350 as it might have been this year.
We're almost back to November. It's incredible.
It is. It's still nice out. You guys wanted the air conditioning on suddenly. You guys, I mean,
Hot.
My dress for I'm wearing pants and long suits.
I was freezing when I walked in here, so we had the air
55
conditioning
degrees this
turned
morning
off.
in my
But
house.
you guys, we'll show you here the map. It's a preliminary map, so it's not fact just yet. Is that how I should understand that? Is that right?
That's kind of how I get it. But we're probably pretty sure, unless some wild things happen and Jose G has some issues, it's probably going to be what it's probably going to be. What you're seeing on the screen.
And although the map has come out, it's not open to run on as pre-running, so to speak.
There's no GPS file yet.
Yeah, you have to. What's the date the score is set for pre-running, guys? Have you guys?
October 26th.
October 26th. So you'll be getting files from SCORE, and definitely check back with SCORE for official information. Once again, this is theory and opinion here at Fishgistics. Taking a look at the map, you guys. Start with you, Andy. I know that second off the line is awesome. Obviously, Ryan is first. Andy, what are your thoughts here on this first section? And have you figured out what route that's going to be from Ojos to Europan based on looking at this map?
It looks. My thoughts are. It looks like a great map. First of all, very challenging.
Very
logistically,
challenging, yeah.
which is great, and I think will spur some team ups from some guys with 4 highways being used: the 1, the 3, the 5, and Highway 2 up at Tecate. It's going to be interesting. I'm pretty sure that's just the typical kind of Ojos to Europan section from Santo Tomas all the way down to Collinet is exactly what we ran at the 500. It looks like through San Vicente or India.
And part of what we just did for the 400, but just backwards.
Yep. And then, sorry, did I say the 500? I meant the 400.
Oh yeah.
I meant the 400. And
Don't
then-
worry, I sent out paperwork to my team that said Baja 500. And I was like,
good.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's the same now.
It's a
I'm
Baja
glad we're on the
600.
same page then.
Yeah.
And then south of there, it looks like the 500 from this year backwards from Santo Domingo Wash north up to Collinet. And then it kind of goes over the mountains, which looks very similar to the 500 this year from Santo Domingo Wash over to almost to Mike's Sky Ranch. Then they throw in the loop they cut out of this race over there by Las Truchas. Then you come back through Mike's, back southwest towards Simpsons, and then go down the hill into Simpsons Ranch, just like we did at the 400 this race. So that's a good Mike's loop.
That's a hell of a
That's
Technical.
a heck of a mic
Challenge.
slip up there.
Are they gonna
Very
make the
challenging.
sportsman cut for everybody again? That's
Yeah,
the
I
question.
know.
Or are they gonna run it?
Totally.
Well,
I don't
what
think
was
so.
it?
I think the challenge was going uphill.
Yeah, you're
So
gonna
now
go
it's
down.
going the other direction
Yep.
on that loop.
You're gonna
Yeah,
go down.
okay.
and
You're gonna go
loop
down.
around.
There's a little rock.
Who
going
ran it?
up, and
Did
then
you guys all
people
run
had
it?
to throw-
Yeah, I ran
I ran it. Yeah,
I never ran it.
I did it once, and then I got the note that it was changed, and I stopped doing it.
I did it 3 times.
Did you?
And then found out it was being changed.
Definitely didn't run it.
But it was a good loop.
It's a race in itself, just from the coast going inland. I mean, that whole section right there is. I mean, you have to be on your game. It's
Yeah.
it's super technical.
There's a lot of quote unquote tough stuff in there. I mean,
Yeah.
when you
Well, I
start,
think then you mix in the fact that, the sun's going to be going down probably somewhere in there, maybe closer to Valley Trinidad. But when we talk about the Baja 1000, you talk about the dirt particles being in the air. I think that everyone at the 1000 talks about, I need to make my moves and do my thing before nightfall.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the sun goes down and you got those lights on, all it does is magnify the dirt particles in the air and make it worse.
Where do you think night's going to be on this course? Where do you guys think you're going to hit night?
Well, it shows that we're starting at 10:30 now, so a half hour later than we did for the 400. So you have your calculator in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
Hey guys, got to do the math here.
So let's say.
so are we going
probably-
down? Are we going down Simpsons again?
We're going down
Yeah.
Simpsons again.
And
I
then
think probably
where does it go
somewhere-
from there? Does
Somewhere
it,
around Simpsons. Like
It's
if
gonna
we
be
average.
does it go all the way to Trinidad?
I think
on that same
I
road.
think we're going to take the old course instead of turning left at the power station. We're
Right.
going to continue on
Right
into
through the middle of
Trinidad.
town?
I think so.
It looks like
Or are we gonna come over?
I actually think it hits the cutoff road
Oh, and it comes over.
and it goes over,
Oh,
and
maybe
then
it
you
does.
go down Mike's Road.
Yeah.
That's kind
down.
of what I was looking at here. It looked like we're out of
Because I
Valley
think
T.
Valley T
is over there.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that'd be good.
So if Ryan does a good job up front, which he should, and he's fast enough, and he averages 50 up to mile 300, that'll take 6 hours. That'll be 4:30 in the afternoon. So he might have an extra 30 minutes there, maybe to get to the highway down to Highway 3.
Because it's going to, you got to remember the time change. Time change is happening before the race,
Yeah.
so it's going to get darker early.
Yeah.
We don't even
So-
tow me in the dark.
Yeah, the whole
Everything.
set. Yeah, everything else is going to be, at night. But then you get into it's mentally challenging that whole first half all the way till you get back over to Trinidad. It's gonna be whether you're first or whether you're 20th. Mentally, it's going to be tough because it's super technical.
And
Yeah.
so it looks like to me like we go across the highway past, obviously, San Matias Wash.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like we're going into San Matias Wash because it looks like this is all speed
Is
zone.
that so? Is that on the road on the side of Diablo, or is that on Diablo?
That's a good.
I don't know.
question.
Yeah.
The GPS comes
probably
out
the
on the
highway till
24th,
that turn
so
on.
we'll know all
Yeah.
this on the 24th.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell exactly.
You can't
how
tell,
it is.
and that's
looking
why.
at a line
And just
on
so
a
we're
map.
very clear, all opinion what we're talking about,
It's the road
because we
next
don't
to
even
the
know what
highway
the
for
race
it.
course is.
That's one.
We're
Besides
looking
this
at a
map
map
right here.
that might be the
So
race
there's
course.
the
Yep.
high road.
But we can't,
The one
again,
right-
there's so many different places to go, you're not really sure. So getting dark, I mean, there's obviously so many classes that we can talk about at SCORE. I mean, starting at 10:30, you're saying trophy trucks possibly getting to Highway 3
Mm-hmm.
right at dark.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Wow,
pretty close
that's-
at all. Yep.
That's less
So
than half the race.
And then you have a gnarly San Felipe loop. I mean, just Matomi Wash with those rock climbs were tough enough during the day. Granted, we get to go downhill this time as opposed to
Right,
uphill like
yeah.
at San Felipe. But those at night,
Makes it come
420
alive,
miles
right?
into the
Can be
race.
tricky.
it'd be pretty cool for videos and pictures and stuff because your lights bouncing off.
It's
the
a
canyon
gnarly. I mean,
walls.
that's it's basically a lot of the Baja 500, a lot of the San Felipe race,
with the exception of the summit.
and then you mix in, instead of the summit, we go up something gnarlier in La Rumorosa.
Yeah. But even so, like even after we do that, the loop we did for San Felipe and for the 500 next to Highway 3, right around, was it 580?
Mhm.
Obviously you get some fast running, and then when you get to the northern part of Laguna Salada, it's all cross grain.
Right.
It's gnarly rough from there because all those little local races have been running that stuff. It's not
So
like
is
we're not running down the dry lake.
Are we running on the graded road going out of?
I think it's going to
Laguna
tie.
Salada,
I
or
think
is
it's
it-
going to tie into all that rough cross grain stuff all the way back.
I've raced up the Laguna Salada from like Tres Pozos at mile 600 north on Laguna Salada on the lake bed all the way up to Mexicali for a race we did in Code back in 2006. But other than that, I've never been north of Cabuzo Junction, which is just south of race mile 620. It looks like
on that side.
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So do you
northern
think
side.
that goes? Do you think that goes to Cajabuzo there, right below 620?
It's
I think
heading that direction,
I
and
think
then
that
it goes
comes right about.
and then
to
it goes north from
Cabuzo.
there. So, and I said, if that's what that is, all the way to the top of the highway at the very very top, that's all. It's super rough. It's all cross grain. We did it last time. We did it. I think was 2015
15.
coming down. When we came down the Rumorosa.
We came across this stuff here.
Yes.
I thought we came across the other side of the
No,
lake.
we came down on that side.
Oh, really? What year was that?
I think that was 15.
See, I didn't race that race in,
Yeah.
in 15.
I didn't
I was
race- I
working
didn't
at
race
X
it either.
Games. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So,
So-
and then the fun really starts to happen around mile, I guess it's 680.
Climbing Luna Rosa.
Yeah.
So you guys came down that in 15?
You did. Have we ever, has it in history, has it ever gone up? Not since I've been racing, but always gone down it.
In my current
I've never
racing,
seen it go up.
I
Yeah.
don't remember it going up, but I mean, I've been racing in Baja since '82 as a navigator, but I can't remember any of those. Like, I can barely remember this year's 500 course. So I'm just totally opposite of Andy. Andy remembers everything.
Andy has all the stats. How many times has it gone up it?
I don't know if it's ever gone up.
Probably
I can't
hasn't
remember.
raced.
I can't remember at all.
In 09 or 2010, it'd go down.
Oh,
It
eight.
went down.
It went down.
08,
Oh, wait, it went down. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So-
that race.
And then to top it off, you're going to be doing the Pine Forest at night, going back typically backwards from what we usually been doing.
And it could
Yeah.
snow. This is November,
It
and the
could-
Pine Forest gets snow.
It could snow.
There could be snow
Yep.
in there.
It
And
gets
it's
chilly
typically-
up
it
in
typically
the
gets-
national
it gets
forest.
Real
Yeah.
dark, silty dirt back there too. So that's all going to be at night. So you're not, once you get up the Rumarosa, it's not like it's a picnic back in Ensenada from there. So it's a complete other race.
It does look like
Ensenada.
It does look like. Is the finish on here at all?
No, it
Gonna
looks
be
like they
14
have
hours.
I think they have that.
What do you guys-
There. It's going to come back into.
So at 50 miles an hour, what's the time you guys are?
Well,
I think
the
it's
Rumarosa,
16.
you'll be
I think if you do
14 hours into
it's 800 divided by
total.
50. That's 16 hours.
So it's about the same time as last year's race. Last year's race, I don't know, it
Finish
says
about
right at the bottom
2 to
there,
3 in the morning.
16:23 to win, right? It says
Yeah.
on the bottom of that thing right there. Just saying.
Should we pull that back
It's
up?
facing the
Should we pull
wall.
that up?
Oh, you
Yeah.
can't see it? I can't
Yeah.
see it. I
Well,
think
let-
it was 16. Not that
I
thing.
should-
There's a map.
Oh, okay. You don't want to look at that.
I
one?
should have bought Ryan so you guys could measure whose was bigger.
No. This thing right there. Doesn't it say right there the time? 16
16
hours,
hours,
24 minutes, and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone online sent that to me. That's an awesome
that's really
gift.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Probably,
really
it'll
cool.
probably be similar to that.
Well, it's funny because it
Was last
typically-
year's faster or slower, you think?
806?
last year's
1,000.
That was last year's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you think that course was faster or slower? There was a lot of San Felipe.
There was.
Not a ton of San
It's
Felipe.
probably similar because of the Mike section this loop and then that super gnarly silt section we had last year down by
Catarina.
Chapala.
Yeah, back up to Catarina.
That was
Back
slow
up
out
to
there, huh?
Catarina.
Yeah.
That was gnarly.
I don't know. It's going to be, and then you add back in your 37 mile an hour speed zones. It's going to bring that average down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's funny.
So if you just took it at the average speed, because we race some of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you just take that average speed of 46 miles an hour, right? That's what the winning time was? Right? You're going 46 miles an hour?
46, yeah. 46 and change.
Oh, it's right here. It doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't
Yeah,
say
the
this one.
speed zones really do slow it down quite a
17.
bit, especially if they're
17 hours?
You know, that's,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
17 and a half.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
So-
probably gonna be closer to
So
that.
17 and a half,
Just a little
18 on the high
But that's
on
what
the
I'm
high
saying.
side.
Hopefully Ryan has a good pace going in the morning and we all follow and he's running
Yeah.
very fast down through European.
That's a
Doesn't have
way of
any
saying you
downtime.
better freaking go.
Yeah. Pressure's on.
And yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like last year at the 1,000, it usually gets interesting when the loops are going through San Felipe, around San Felipe, because then the sun goes down a little bit past San Felipe, and there's a lot of multiple lines in San Felipe washes. So a lot of the time the racing at the Baja 1000 is done once you clear Highway 3 and start coming through San Felipe headed south, because that's where you have time to pass and the sun's going down. This race, kind of single file for the most part down the beach all the way down to the Mike's Loop. And then guys are going to try to be jockeying position to set themselves up for the night, but they're going to have to be doing that in the gnarly, treacherous
single
through
lane
Mike's Loop.
Mike's Loop.
What do you
which is
think?
not
Where,
passing.
where are people going to change drivers? Most people use probably 2 drivers, trophy trucks. Where do you guys think everybody's going to change this race?
Probably somewhere around Highway 3 over there or somewhere past there. I mean, typically you try to break it up in half.
If you're doing
as
that,
close
then,
as you can.
yeah, then it's going to have to be somewhere down near San Felipe. Actually, San Felipe is a little bit further than half, but
Yeah.
but there's not a whole lot that lends itself to mile 400 to
Yeah.
doing a pit.
Yeah, it kind of depends on, and especially a race like this, I know at least for us, like a main pit somewhere is probably going to have to get out and do more chasing. So doing something down at 400 or at the top of Matomi Wash doesn't make any sense because all those people are now wasted. There's no way to
You
get
can't
back
use them.
out
Can't
and
use
get
them
the
for anything
truck back
else.
up.
Especially,
go sooner
you
or
mentioned it
later.
too, Andy. That I mean, the logistics on this course, because you're dealing with this many highway sections, you can't afford to bury a group of guys,
Yeah.
a main pit somewhere
Yeah.
that you can't use them again.
Right.
You know, it's all you only have so many people, you only have so much equipment, so you're gonna have to reuse it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. And typically, when we look at the loop races compared to the Peninsula Run, obviously we all I know we all have a soft spot in our heart for the Peninsula Run, because that is like
Next
that is
year.
that's a Baja 1000.
Right, they already said next year is a
Hopefully,
Peninsula,
Yeah,
right?
I heard that next year. But if you look at being a tough race and being able to live up to the Baja 1000 name, this course does that.
For sure. Well, continually we hear people saying, "Oh, this is the toughest race." Are we going to hear that
I
from
know
people?
it's amazing, because I've said it a number of times, and it seems like it does get tougher and tougher. I don't know if it's a combination.
Well, I
of
think
the
I'm sure,
competition's getting tougher and tougher. You
Well,
have to be on your game, which it is.
well,
or
the
if
competition's getting tougher and tougher. But one thing I've talked about a few times is that, SCORE is no longer like on the Peninsula Run might be different, but we're not just jumping on that fast road anymore. And I think a perfect example is that Morelia section. I don't know where they're running because I can't see from the map, but
Yeah.
we've been running off in those whoops for and that
Yeah.
stuff is terrible.
That's what it looks
And
like.
for
it's not a
and for
straight line
forever
down
we
Riley Road.
rode on the road, right?
Yeah.
And then regrade it. It's
I love that road.
right. But when was the last time we raced on that? A decade ago, right,
Yeah,
or
well,
more?
Yeah,
Probably the
2000,
90s.
2009.
We did that.
Oh, we did it 2009?
There you go.
So yeah, we can't tell from the map where it's going, but it's sections like that where they're keeping us off those main roads or those faster roads that I think keeps making it tougher and tougher and
Not
tougher.
to mention, a lot of the sections have already been raced on by us twice this year.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been digging it up, pre-running and racing twice this year. But then you have the Code Series and the Record Series and the local series down there that use a lot of the same roads that we are, and I think that's why it gets rougher and rougher. I mean, the sport is growing. There's more racers. There's more people take it more seriously. There's more pre-running. The courses are getting more torn up every race, and yeah, so you'll probably hear it after this one that it's the gnarliest one we've done.
It really is amazing. I mean, yeah, we're racing a trophy truck that has a lot of horsepower, a lot of suspension. But when you get into that road we just talked about, south of Morelia, where it's just those 4-foot bumps one after another, you're trying to maintain speed. Your truck works good, but it's still sucking it out of you.
I feel like people have a misconception about what riding in a trophy truck is like. The first time I
For
heard
sure they
someone,
do.
it was Steve Serapis. I'm going to call him out. He was riding in a Damon Jeffries Porter truck for the first time in Placer City. And he said, man, you could sit there and you could drink a cup of coffee going over the whoops. And I'm like, man, that is smooth. You know what I mean? A hot cup of coffee in the whoops. And then my first ride in a trophy truck was not a hot cup of coffee over the whoops. It was with Robbie Gordon in his truck down in San Felipe. And it was everything but smooth. From the outside, it looks unbelievable.
Yeah.
The wheels are working. They're
Yeah.
dropping. He's going 120. It looks amazing. Inside these trucks, it is violent. It is harsh. It takes it out of you mentally and physically, and it's exhausting. It doesn't look like how pretty it is on the outside. what we're
No,
doing
for
on the
sure.
inside.
And I haven't driven a 1600 car in a long time, but it harkens back to that same type of feeling. Obviously, the speed is faster, the vehicle's more capable, but it is really still violent inside the cab. I mean, it's harsh. It's like the bumps hurt. It's not like you're just cruising along on a pill. And I always make fun of it, like, oh yeah, we're like on cruising, no big
Country
deal,
club
yeah.
Probably why nobody solos anymore either.
And the way the pace is nowadays, I think it'd be very difficult to solo this race and be a fresh guy when it comes to the midway point and try to compete against a good fresh guy. I just don't see that happening anymore.
You spend so much time focusing and
Is anybody
mentally strained, and then physically, like we're talking about,
Yeah.
it's beating you up.
No,
You can only explain the sensation to someone so
No, for
much
sure.
until they actually go through it, and they're just like, wow. Like, they did not.
San Felipe last year, coming down through that Morelia section again, like you're talking about, I was behind you. You got us around us at one of the pits, and you're up on top of those bumps. And I remember, I'm like, I was hurting so bad. and I'm like, I physically cannot go any faster. The truck will do it.
Mhm.
I'm completely at my limit, and I
Right.
consider myself in pretty good shape.
Right.
I'm at my limit, and the only thing I'm like, man, I hope the rest of the guys
Yeah.
aren't leaving me, but I can see your dust,
Yeah.
and your dust was not leaving. I'm like, okay, he's hurting just as bad as I am.
Totally.
And it's like you're mustering up everything you can to continue to keep the throttle down on that
Yeah.
truck, but it was hurting me.
And
My body was maxed out.
We're more used to it because I mean we do it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I bring people out for rides in the truck down testing and take them on a 5-mile loop for like 6.5, 7 minutes, and at the end of that loop, how heavy they're breathing
Yeah.
and the look on their face,
Yeah.
and they're like, "You do this for
how long?"
500 miles, 600 miles,
For sure.
or 50 miles."
Yeah.
They're like, I can't. Like, I'm
Can't
done.
fathom
I'm
it.
good.
Yeah.
I'm done after 5 miles.
It is wild. It really is. So
I think all the classes, I mean, we talk about trophy trucks quite a bit here. That there's a lot of questions, comments about trophy trucks, but I mean, the heroes of the sport, the class 11s, the 5/1600s, people that
they're animals.
Yeah, I mean,
bike
the-
guys.
They're animals. They're hurting just as
yeah,
bad
the
too.
bikes. I mean, but
Yeah.
all of us taking a beating. But you know,
But we
we
love
have tons of respect for everybody that races all the classes. But we all just love it. You know, we're all
The passion. It's a
Big
passion.
family.
Yeah.
It really is.
Speaking of how rough the course is, let's talk about some driver lineups
okay.
that are being tossed around. I know last night I saw on Instagram that Brandon Arthur, who qualified for me
Mm-hmm.
infamously before the Baja 1000 1 year,
Is that 2 years
A
ago?
couple years ago, right?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
16.
And
Who did a great job, by the way.
Awesome.
excellent
Oh,
job.
yeah.
Started third.
Yeah.
Wheeled
Put us in a great spot. I saw he was testing with Tavo down
Uh-huh.
in the deserts of Laguna Salada.
Interesting.
Oh.
So
Well, that
I
means
don't
your
know.
co-driver's gone.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't you team up with Tavo last year or 2 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Was that last year or 2
Well,
years?
that's 2 years. 2 years in a row.
Let's start
Oh.
with you.
Yeah.
Let's start with you. What
My-
are your thoughts,
I-
Danny McMillan?
So when I first heard rumors about where the course might be going, what it'd be doing, I thought maybe this is the year I can solo it, because I've been really it's a bucket list thing. Before I quit racing, I want to solo Baja 1000. Say I did it. To do that now, that maybe takes myself out of the chance of winning. I'm not really sure if that's the best idea or not. I feel like I could do it. Whether I could do it and keep the same pace and the same, hold my mental capacity at a high level for the whole day is something I'm not sure of. This course is a gnarlier one, I would say, to solo it. I think going down the peninsula, getting on some of the faster roads, it'd probably be a little bit easier feat. It's more hours, but it's not so exhausting on the body and the mind.
Yeah. So do you guys agree with me that when you're dodging through the bushes, like on the narrow tracks, like up by Mike's and stuff, that's super mentally exhausting?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, extra concentration
Yeah.
for sure.
But then you also got to look at the fact that, okay, we finished that Mike's loop. Now we've gotten down to Trinidad. Now we're going to get on the highway. So you have a chance to
Mm-hmm.
take a
Yeah.
breather, get something in your system,
Right.
have some water.
Right.
Once you hit the desert loop on the San Felipe side, there are zero breaks now
No.
until you get back up to the top of Limarosa. And now we're talking about the roughest part of the entire course.
Yeah,
with no breaks.
That's going
I
to be
think-
the toughest part, is that there's several aspects of this course that are hard to where, like 250 or the 350. Okay, we
Yeah.
have Matomi, or
Right.
you have the whoops. Or,
Yeah, Morelia Road.
Now we have Morelia, we have Mike's, we have the beach and the rocks and the this and
Yeah.
that, and Rumarosa. So there's
Yeah.
several aspects.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this course, I mean, specifically when you look at it, how many sand whoops there are on this race course is really something that's
Mm-hmm.
tough for me when I look at it. You know, I mean, there is some really brutal stuff, but then you start factoring in Rumarosa, like you're saying, and all that stuff at Mike's that, I mean, was so gnarly that they cut it out last race,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's like, it's really pretty incredible how much tough stuff is
And then
on this
and
map.
then the Pine Forest coming back in.
So
which is
what
once again
section are you
mental.
guys going to drive?
Well,
Let's hear it.
I'll say this too, and I'm gonna give you guys some of you guys already know because I think my teammates
You
already
ruined
know
it by
this.
20 minutes
Yeah.
before the show started.
I'm gonna kick his butt.
You should talk to him about that because I thought he was your friend. Why couldn't you have done it right here?
His truck burned down. I can't give him too much
Hey,
crap, you know.
So
We're gonna take extra precautions with extinguisher.
Yeah, exactly.
So I asked Dan McMillan to the prom. So Dan's gonna race with me for the Baja 1000, and I think I'm super excited. I think it's gonna be a good team up. We're still working through kind of logistics and what we're going to do driving wise, so we don't have that completely down yet. I need to look at it more, but I also have, just like you, I've had that thought of, it's on my bucket list to want to solo, and because that's what we grew up, that's what we grew up with.
That's what everyone did.
It is, and you start looking back at this course again too, and it's like, you know what, we're here to win it. I don't want to say I raced the Baja 1000.
I think you guys should solo it. I think you guys should, yeah. Go right ahead.
So, but my mind always turns back to winning, and to winning, we got to put the proper plan together. And I think, obviously, I know Dan's an incredible driver. He's done a great job. My heart goes out to the family for the loss of the truck, obviously, and I know that's tough. Thank God everyone else was okay, but I'm excited for the
Dan's been doing a great job.
Pre-runs really good.
He does.
Pre-runs a lot.
So,
Well, not to mention,
I take down the ribbons all the time.
But like we were talking about earlier with the logistics, now you have two top tier teams. You with your guys backing and the Herps pits,
Yep.
and then you have my cousin Dan and everything that comes with, and the assets that they have and
for
offer.
sure. No, it's big.
So
big.
that's you're doubling up and basically doubling your chances
Yes.
at winning.
Yep.
I feel by having more chase trucks in more places you might need a tire, or having a splash of fuel to push and pass someone who might be in the pits. You have more capability to do things like that, as
you're
opposed to
exactly
being
right.
so tight.
Yep.
So if you were going to
normally
team
are.
up with a top tier team that had the same hat as you, that kind of limits you in the number of people you can choose from.
Right, yeah.
Which I don't know if that's fair speculation or not, but
I mean, yeah.
have you guys ever talked about that?
Speculation is speculation. It's been talked about. It's been thrown out there. I really wanted to race with my dad again.
That's what I thought you were going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, until we sat down and I asked you and raced with your dad, and you said you don't know. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I think
Your dad's by the way, your dad is bad.
He's a bad dude.
He's solid.
I mean, he produced this. No, I'm
Were
just
we
kidding.
talking about me having a big head a little bit
Yeah,
ago?
you know what I mean? But like I said,
That's a double extra large Red Bull hat.
That's why Ryan doesn't have a hat. He couldn't find one that fit anymore.
It's only got 3 buttons on the back. But no, I think just the logistics. I mean, to do it with my dad would be really fun. It's just tough. This is just a tough course. I know a section that I could give to him that he'd do really well. It's just how many trucks do we have? How many people do we have? And is that sufficient enough to give us the best chance at winning? I think that comes first and foremost over who fits to be the best relief driver or not.
So do you think,
or maybe not a relief driver, maybe a starting
driver? Do you
driver.
think you're leaning towards probably having a second driver as opposed to doing it yourself based on what you see here now?
Yeah, I think definitely having a second driver.
You're gonna run out of options here quick if you don't hurry up. People are getting
swooped up.
Getting close.
They are. I mean, my options are somewhat limited because of tire brands
It's hard.
and sponsors that are aligned. So
unless the driver doesn't have a sponsor in that category, right?
Yeah. And which is nice, that's why it worked out so well with Tavo, was we shared the same tire brand, we're on the same wheel brand, and we made a great team over the last couple of years. Got second last year.
Tavo's in a good starting spot. Tavo is fast.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what Tavo and Brandon do if they are teaming up.
Somebody said they confirmed that they are.
Yeah. So
it's Tavo and Brandon Arthur.
Cool. Yeah, Brandon Arthur's done some great
you got
stuff.
Tavo starting right behind us, who's right behind Ryan. So
what about you, Cameron?
I'm
You
not.
want to talk about anything at all?
I'm not at liberty to say based on contractual agreements, but I will tell you that I am not having a relief driver. That I'm actually going to split the race with someone more or less. We're going to team up.
In your truck?
That's a gray area.
That's a hard
That's
maybe.
That's a
If
hard
it was
maybe.
me, I'd want to drive
That's
an
a
all-wheel
question mark.
drive
It's
truck.
good. I'm just trying to give
Yeah.
the fans something to work off of here.
Yeah,
but he's comfortable and his guys are at home. So
I love my Geyser truck. I'll tell you, it'd be hard to get out of it. But I will tell you that we're really close to putting something together with what I would call another very high-level team, a team that has won, and someone that I'm really comfortable teaming up with. I can't say because I'm not allowed to, but if I could tell you, I would tell you. I'm just not allowed to.
Yeah.
But, I'm really excited about
sponsor
it.
not us, and we're
contracts and
super
stuff like
high level.
that. It's touchy because someone might have brand X wheel, Method, and you run KMC, and
Right.
what are we gonna do?
It's
and
hard. It's hard on
you
those
get
team
wheels
ups.
and I get wheels, and who wins, and how do you? I mean, that's
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
That's
too, you're
tough.
trying to find that best
But I
fit
think
to get you the win.
To be fair, to answer your question, I am going to team up with someone, and I'm not going to drive it the whole way myself. It could be my teammate Bobby Picoy, but I don't think it is. Bobby's been doing a great job, and he has his own thinking of how he wants to do it.
He'll be right behind you no matter who you
No matter what I do, he's going to be right behind me. It doesn't matter. You
I
guys,
swore you put a tow strap to his truck at the 400 and you just towed him all the way
it's so
down.
crazy. We did the same thing 2 other times this year. It's
That's
just
wild.
insane.
That's right.
So,
Drawing
do you
back
guys
to
know
back.
who's driving with Rob Mack? Is it Jason Voss again? Does anybody know?
I don't
Somebody
know.
people were asking.
Well, you also have, I know, you have Bean as well, who's raced with him before, and
that's true.
obviously with Dan racing with me.
Not that I'm into the drama, okay? I really don't like drama.
You could be in the
Not
drama,
a
it's
fan
fine.
of drama.
Yeah.
This is just hearsay. These are
Right.
things I'm hearing.
Sure.
Heard that Jason is having a child.
Yep,
his
I did
first
hear that.
child.
Yep.
Good for him.
Right.
And it's
around
supposed
that
to
time.
Be right around the 1,000.
Oh, that's going to be a close one.
Not sure what's going to happen there. I know that Bean was going to race with Dan. I know that there have been talks about Bean teaming up with Rob. And now that Dan isn't racing because he doesn't have a truck to race and he's racing with you, just announced that, maybe that's something Bean will kind of go over to, or maybe Jason can get some time away and sneak down. I don't know. Jason and Rob is a tough team.
Well,
Team.
I know that Justin finished second driving for Rob last year in one of the SCORE races. He drove the whole race, right? Because Rob was injured from the short course.
Tijuana?
Yeah, Tijuana.
Tijuana, yeah. And I mean, obviously, Justin and
That's
I
the
go
one you
way
won,
back.
right?
Great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Okay, just checking.
But he does a great job. He's amazing talent.
No, he. I mean, it was an unfortunate situation at the 400, but it was nothing they did.
You guys with Pat?
Yeah, so Diener's still with us.
By the way, they stole Pat from us, in case you guys were wondering.
Yeah.
That's such a good.
It's a
guy.
We'll
Vegas
go with
thing.
that
It's a
story.
Vegas thing.
Well, I know that Pat did previously drive for the Herps, so it's kind of like came back around.
Did he
You know?
really?
Yeah, didn't he used to drive for the Herps way back in the day, if I'm not
I don't
mistaken?
know, I'm sure he did.
Well,
all
they're
Vegas
all
guys,
intertwined. Yeah, it's all
probably.
Vegas guys.
Vegas
They all
guys,
drove for
yeah,
each
we
other
love
back in
them.
the day.
What
We're
about
glad to
this?
have 'em.
Let's look at the list now here as we go down through. We got Lofton.
Yeah, that's a
Anybody-
curious
Who's he
one.
racing with?
I don't know. Good question. If anybody knows, they want to put it on Fishgistics.
So Larry
Maybe
Ross
his
was
dad?
with Luke, right?
Larry
Rossler's
and Luke.
with Luke. That's
Okay.
that's going to be a great team up there too. Obviously, and
Larry and
Pooners are gonna
Luke.
be
And then you
together.
guys are driving the second truck too, right?
There's talks about 2 or maybe 1.
Oh, so maybe the three
So
of them
it'd be-
together.
Yeah, the 3
Okay.
of them.
What about BJ?
It's Todd LeDuc,
Todd
right?
LeDuc.
Todd
Oh,
LeDuc's
Todd
been
LeDuc.
with
That's
him,
right.
yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Chris Miller.
And again, all speculation.
All theory and
Nothing's
speculation.
contracted. All opinion. This whole show is all opinion. I think it's really interesting to find out what Justin Lofton's doing,
Yeah.
who he's teaming up with. BJ is, as you said, teamed up. Chris Miller, I'm assuming, with Jimmy Knuckles since they raced this
I would-
race
I would
together.
assume so.
Yeah,
You got,
same.
and you got Ricky. Obviously, you got the team owner with that one, Larry Connor, who's
maybe
a great
his
guy.
son.
Maybe.
Yeah. So sometimes they have 3 drivers. I know I was a 3rd driver for them at the Peninsula Run 2 years ago. I was doing the middle section for them, so there could be 3 drivers there as well.
And then
So-
Picoy raced the Baja 1000 in 17 with Greg DiStefano, who's won the Nora Money race before. He's one of my buddies. We've been racing together for 35 years, so I know they're talking. But nothing has been set in stone there either. Interesting to me. So I heard Luke saying that he was going to race the Baja 1000. Wasn't he saying that they at the finish line something about racing the Baja 1000? Luke Johnson,
Oh, good
Oh,
question.
yeah, with Walser.
right? Didn't he say that?
Yeah.
Now that's your old truck. Is that your old
No,
truck? Oh,
that's
okay.
that's an old Team C truck.
Oh, that's your old team. Okay. What
That's the
happened to your
one.
old
That's the
truck?
one you guys are.
Yeah, who has your
gotcha.
truck?
Here's the
My truck is the Rolf Helland.
Oh, in the
truck
in the
in
Legends.
Legends.
the
Yeah,
Illinois
gotcha.
one.
Okay.
Illinois.
Okay, so what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Bryce? If you're not teamed up with Bryce, then who does Bryce go with? If Bryce,
Well, did you ask him
Now
if he's
that-
teamed up with Bryce yet? We don't even know
no,
that yet.
I didn't ask him because I wanted to put him on the spot. I just asked would the guy
We
have
got
the same
two
hat.
He didn't
guys
say.
that
I'm
you
not
have
teamed up with Bryce.
So then Bryce and theoretically Bryce and Rob could both be trying to ask Justin.
Who has Bryce teamed up with? in the
Hasn't
past?
Justin driven for Bryce before?
Jesse Jones usually.
Oh, Jesse
Jesse
Jones.
Jones.
That's right.
He also had, I believe, Toby Price last year.
Toby.
If I'm not
That's right,
mistaken.
yeah.
Toby Price.
2 years ago or last year?
Last year, I believe it was. I think
Last
Okay.
year
Toby,
on
yeah.
that gnarly loop, remember
Yeah.
Toby?
He hit
Yeah.
the Bronco.
Some little issues down there.
And I heard because Jesse has the new 4-wheel drive. I think his is the next off the assembly line.
Is that going to be ready for the
I
1,000?
did
think
hear.
so.
Speaking of that truck, I did hear a rumor. I'm not probably supposed to say who it is, so I don't know if I'll say it. But somebody might be racing if that truck is done. that has never raced a race before. That would be really, really big if
I
they
heard
did.
this. I heard this too. So you want me to say? He didn't say.
Just
it
think
was-
about where Jesse is right
Yeah.
now and what he's
So,
doing, and then think
it'd be
about
a-
somebody that.
I'll
would
give you.
maybe be
It's a
really
Red
cool.
Bull guy, and he's
Could be.
not from around here.
Yeah.
This way.
He's on the other side of the
But
Atlantic Ocean.
he's won Dakar before.
And he might be from a country that is hosting the Olympics at some point in the
Yeah.
future.
And
He
he's
looks
he's
like
a,
me, but not as good looking.
So that's a
I heard
maybe.
that-
If the
I heard
truck
that
is
same
done
thing.
and-
I don't even know who you guys are talking about. And I followed that
Then you
car.
have Robbie.
Yeah, what about Robbie? What
Yeah.
what would Robbie do?
This guy might have driven with Robbie. at one
Robbie's
point or
had Damon Jeffries drive with him in the past.
Oh, that's right.
And so I don't know if that's still going to be something he does or not, but I know that's happened quite a bit.
I think Damon is racing his one car at the 1,000.
Oh yeah, so
not
he,
for sure, but that's
so
what
he
told
could
me at
he
the
could be
500.
out. Who else would Robbie get at that point then?
Maybe Sheldon Creed again. Didn't he drive with him before? I don't know if he's
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's right. He
Sheldon
did.
did too, yeah.
That was a couple years ago on the Peninsula Run.
Yeah.
Peninsula Run.
maybe.
Sheldon's a heck of a driver. Oh, I mean,
Wheel man.
just everything he does. You know, he holds on to the steering wheel pretty well.
Langley is with Jurgensen.
Jurgensen.
Kyle Jurgensen.
Yeah.
Who drove
They've
this
been,
race. And
they've been doing a great job.
Yeah.
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 He's a hell of a driver.
They
too.
finished fourth at the 500, right? Didn't they start fourth at this race or no? Oh no, sorry.
No.
But didn't they finish top 5 at the 500? Or was that at San Felipe?
San Felipe.
San Felipe.
San Felipe
Yeah.
finished fourth, I think.
Yeah.
Jurgensen's been doing a good job. He won Vegas to Reno and Silver State this year.
Somebody says Billy
Yeah.
Gasper might drive with Robbie.
Really?
Oh, really?
Luke Sam said that, so I'll give it a little bit of
Go
credibility
Billy.
there, maybe. He didn't say
Nice.
for sure. He said maybe.
Yeah, Billy goes way
Yeah.
back, obviously. He and Robbie are great friends for a long
Absolutely.
time.
Let's go to the back of the pack. I mean, you got Rob starting 19th, so not the best 400 for Rob.
No.
He's going to be coming from the back, as well as
Kevin Thompson and
Kevin
Harley.
Thompson with
Kevin before his problem. They had a mechanical worst
Yeah.
spot on the course. You
I
could
know.
have it.
On Mike's.
He was doing really, really well. Kevin's really made some big improvements, and obviously Harley.
Where were they parked at? Oh, on the
the
going up the
concrete.
cement.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
on the concrete was on the concrete.
Yeah.
Going
On
up
Mike's. Yeah.
Somebody
weird.
said Cole
Intended.
Potts is driving with Robbie. Couple
Oh,
people said
Cole.
that.
Oh,
we-
Cole
that's what we
Potts,
didn't
I
think
forgot
about.
about that, yeah.
Sorry, Cole. I don't know why we didn't think
Where
about
is
that one.
Cole?
Yeah, what's he
he's
been
been racing.
doing?
He's been doing
a lot
the
of
SST thing.
He's
and
been
I
winning
guess-
those races too.
Yeah.
He's been doing really well.
I see his dad's opening a new casino down in Bahamas or wherever that is, so maybe they've been focusing on work.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
And who else?
We didn't talk about Dave Taylor. Did you guys
Pullman,
already?
probably.
You got,
Oh, Pullman now. Okay, yeah.
Keesar.
Yeah,
He was
Keesar.
Corey Keesar's been racing
Mikey
with
Lawrence, Todd Toles,
Max Eddy,
Tondale.
right? Didn't Max
Yeah.
Eddy drive with him?
Yep.
What about
Bike
Dolly's?
racing?
Dolly's gonna have his
Probably.
dad, I'm assuming.
I would assume. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
dude, those guys are super fast.
They are. It's just they had a
They're-
crappy
What
race.
happened to them? They had a steering problem or something?
Or
No, it's hub.
Oh, hub.
Left front, then right front, or right front,
Really?
then left front.
Wow, what a bummer.
It's on his Instagram.
And I don't know. Has anybody talked to the Serapis boys?
Yeah, they're not.
They're not
As
going.
far as I know, yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That is a bummer. And
They'll
then
be back.
the Brenthals finished top 20, so I'm assuming Jordan and Jonathan will share that, but who knows, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they may not do that.
There is another team that's not on there that did not race the 400. That's actually pretty big names. So Jeff Gordon, NASCAR Jeff Gordon, and Casey Mears are teaming up together in a Geyser trophy truck. They're
Really?
Racing the 1,000.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Is this real?
Is this real? Is
news?
this April
Yeah,
Or is
Fool's
it
Day?
fake news?
Go look on Instagram on Casey Mears.
I saw
Instagram.
Casey-
He's been posting
The
about it.
that
They've been out
Xleta,
testing.
the Xleta Geyser truck.
Yep.
I just
Very
saw
cool.
another post that says that the Xleta truck wasn't going to race now, and just recently, and I was bummed because I know Casey and Kate. I'd love to see him back out there again.
Yeah, as of a couple days ago, I saw that they
Good,
were.
I hope
Maybe
they
they
are.
changed. I don't know, but
Maybe-
they were planning on it.
Yep. And if Jeff's coming back in, that's great. So
Yep.
Jeff can come play in the dirt.
Wow.
We welcome him.
So that would
That'd
be
be
cool. There
huge.
might be some
Yeah.
big names from other aspects of racing coming.
No, we that's what's so cool about our sport, especially when you introduce those guys to what we do. They're floored. They're like, this is the best thing ever, and it's
Yeah.
so nice to be able to get their eyes on what we do.
Of course, there's other great drivers and team matchups to talk about, whether it's the Legends or Class 1. You know, Parkhouse, Wilson, Cullen, top 3 in Class 1 at the 400. Vanderway winning the Legends. Trophy Truck Spec has a ton of great talent.
That
So
class is something else.
Yeah,
Sarah Price is so freaking close to winning right now.
I know,
Yeah.
what a
She's just-
bummer.
I know.
Two in a row.
I know. So
She's
she's
taking
right.
away with her
She's right there.
Penalties driven
Which
or
I want to
something
make
like
a
that.
comment on. I told Jose G, I've been pushing him. I said, I messaged him after the race, and I said, to be announced as the winner and to spray the champagne, only to have it taken away from you the next day from someone that tells you about it has to be the worst feeling
that's terrible.
in the world of racing.
It'd be cool if they could look at the trackers at the finish line
said,
right away.
They
see if
look,
there's any
for
penalties
VCPs.
first.
Yeah.
So I feel like the next step in that is you have to get the speeding stuff done. And the results at the finish line before you announce the winners for TV or in front of the fans, it has to be.
Well, I think what they should do. I mean, obviously this time around they had a stack up at the finish line, right? People couldn't get through the transponder. I kind of think they should just eliminate, which they did. You didn't race at speed back into town. I think just eliminate that. Move the timing tower back to the
timing line way back.
Yeah, move it back to either coming out of the wash or at the
arch.
Was it the race line arch or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And then that way you can just, there's no pressure to do anything, and you can stop vehicles. The first 30 vehicles can just wait until they get it figured out.
Because the races, I mean, this one was a little bit more spread apart, but sometimes they come down to seconds.
Yeah.
And so you're pushing around the last corner.
Yep.
Hey, that's funny you said it
tower,
comes down to,
that's where the race
this one
went.
was pretty spread apart. I think the top 10 were to like 8 minutes.
But there's also something to be said for, like,
10
you know,
minutes.
if they can figure that out, like every other racing series around the U.S., like after you win the race, you're up on the podium, you get your trophy. There's no awards banquet the next day.
Right.
So if there's a way to figure that out, it'd be nice to be able to get your trophy, eliminate that whole next day thing.
Yeah.
So you can actually get home to your families.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I actually. Not because I don't love the sport. I didn't go to the awards, even though we won, because I really wanted to get back to my wife and kids.
Well, I think
that was more important.
It's
for me.
hard for people to understand, but
I haven't gone to the two either.
we went to the awards at the 1,000. I mean, we went.
I
And
feel
got,
like that's like, if I won the
and I really want to
I'd say
support
the awards.
SCORE and the
Absolutely.
organization, but man, when you're away for, I mean, on this race, scheduling wise, could be away for 10 days leading up to that from your family, and it's like you finish the race on Saturday morning or Sunday, whatever it's going to be, Saturday morning, and you're like, I'm not waiting until Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, I'm out of here.
Let's figure this out now. Let's pass the trophies.
I think
you
it- I
celebrate
think it
the
would be-
finish line when you're at a high, anyways, and then everyone
When I
goes
win,
home.
I want to drink Red Bull mixed with vodka and hang out with the family and party. You know what I mean? Like celebrate the win. I don't want to go, man, I really hope I don't wake up tomorrow and I got 18 seconds of speeding penalties and I lost the win by 5 seconds.
And to be honest, I was on pins and needles too. I'm like, I know I didn't do anything wrong,
right?
But
It's
I can
awful.
wake up and this could be completely changed.
Any more good questions or comments up there?
Alan Impudia says he's racing with Andy.
Oh, there you have it. All right. We're all going to move
Look
up
at
one
that.
spot from six.
Thanks for the
claiming it.
clarification, Alan. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
so Alan, is it fair to
Mijo Alan.
will you be racing with your brother or brothers?
It'll
Right?
take him a minute to reply.
I would suppose he's probably racing with Aaron. I know Aaron didn't race this race with him, but Aaron told me
Oh, he
they're
did.
racing together because I would have asked Alan. Great driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did really well here, actually. I know he got stuck on the hill outside of Mike's where concrete was broke.
Oh, really?
I saw the video.
It
of
was
that.
like 4 of us in dust climbing up that gnarly hill with a cliff on the right out of Mike's.
Ugh.
And concrete was stuck. And then and Pooty was right in front of me with Walser right in front of him. Walser went around and Pooty cut up the hill to the left and was in blinding dust and couldn't see and slid off the road a little bit
Oh, geez.
and got a little high centered. And then I came up right behind him and kind of squeezed through the middle. And then he had to back down and he got passed by, I think, Cops and Lofton both there too.
He said he's
but he came back from that.
Aaron.
You're there.
Oh,
There you go.
okay, cool.
I thought he was driving with me.
Well, I guess he changed his mind.
Come on.
Find somebody else now.
Come on now.
Better offer.
Right on. Well, I mean, there's a lot of great matchups and lots of great stuff. I think
incredible race.
I think the greatest message, if anybody can take anything away from here again, from the opinions and talk, is safety first. You know, when you're making a plan, don't make your chase guys rush. Don't make it a hurry. Don't run with your big off-road lights on the highway. I mean, just be cognizant that it's a race, but it's more about just being safe and
And
having
also
fun,
realize that we're guests
for sure.
in the great country of Mexico.
That's
and
a great
the state
point.
Of Baja. You know
That's
what
a
I
great
mean?
point.
Like
Yeah, excellent.
sometimes I see people doing burnouts and doing silly stuff. I'm like, man, you wouldn't do that on your street back
Right.
at home. Maybe some of you would. I can think of a couple guys that probably would.
I think it's worth mentioning
You know
too
what I
that when it's a 37-mile-an-hour zone in the race, it doesn't mean that you can go 70 in the pre-run, right? You should go slow, right? They want you to go slow in that section, so go
Right.
slow. Be
Right.
respectful. I mean, if it's on the highway and you're going the speed limits of the highway, that's totally different, I guess. But be respectful.
They put those there because they're highly trafficked areas
Right.
with people. You know, they even put warnings on the map sometimes when the final map comes out of like a pre-run speed zone, like, hey, be careful here. Going up the beach, there's a lot of traffic.
Yep.
Going on the
Kids.
crossover road, that's how people get from Valley Trinidad over to the beach and back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a highly accessed road.
It should be very clear to everybody that all these roads are not there for no reason. They're being used. These
Yeah.
are roads that are being used. We
Yeah,
race
they weren't
on
made for us.
the roads of the people that live there, and we are their guests. And it's just amazing how welcoming everybody is around the race cars and everything that we're doing down there. It's
Some of the I keep on saying this to the locals down there, but they're some of the best fans in the world. They really are. They're so passionate about what.
well, they really know what's
It's awesome.
going on.
Yeah.
We know they really know about the races.
Yeah.
They really know about the races.
Yeah, they're tuned in.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Jason? Anything?
Just like you said, safety. Can't stress it enough once you go through it, and then you're, very conscious of it, and you try to look for all aspects.
Make your own plans. Make your own
Make your own
decisions.
plans, do the drills.
Be smart.
Be mentally prepared. Keep up on your equipment. That's the biggest thing. Is you gotta first have it there to be able to use it. And safety gear. Can't stress enough. The T-shirt under your suit, your wife beater, your tank top, your Nike tennis shoes. That stuff does not fly.
Yeah.
And you really realize it. And luckily, I'm fortunate with Brian and Arturo Sports. He hooks us up big time and helps us out, make sure we all have our safety gear, everything's up to date and stuff like that, and so that we're protected. And
Safety.
luckily, I didn't get burned. Just got really hot. It lit a fire under my butt. No pun intended.
I just want to say a quick thing off that, and I don't mean to keep going on to this, but testing. Wear your suits and helmets and testing.
Yeah.
I hate watching the videos of everyone wearing T-shirts, shorts, and they put their head and neck restraint on and their helmet. Leave the head. If you're going to do that, leave the head and neck restraint back in your bag because it doesn't matter. I know we've all been guilty of it, and we've all done it, but
I used to do it a lot.
Yep.
Now,
you're
last
more
couple of
susceptible
years,
to having an accident in testing
Right.
than you ever are in the race.
Yeah.
Even
The
put
first
it
time
on.
you drive the car or truck when it's put back together.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
the biggest point of failure.
Even pre-running, we have another separate trophy truck that we pre-run in, and when you spend several days out there and it's hot, you're tired, you're just doing it over and over and over
Yeah.
again, you tend
You
to get
wanna-
relaxed and complacent. You're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm just wearing jeans and
Yeah.
I'll be fine because I get the
It's been
breeze.
fine, yeah.
It's been fine,
Mhm.
and now you really realize like
Something happened.
you would have been
Yeah.
worse off. So.
Closing thoughts, Andy, points leader for the SCORE series with a
Just,
commanding lead, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around 50 points over your cousin Luke. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you.
I believe Luke is second, and then third. We're
Ampudia?
fourth.
I think
I think
third's
Ampudia
Ampudia.
is third. He's 2 points ahead of us, or 3 points ahead of
Yeah, I
us.
don't know. I think, I've never won a SCORE championship in any class before, so that would be cool. But
So all you got to do is slow down and finish this one, and
Right.
you're good.
Yeah.
So just check
That's
up,
what,
check up,
And
pull
you can
over.
What's
solo
more
it.
important to you?
You know what
I
I
mean,
would
it's
do
like-
is
it goes back to my finish line interview thing. I, as well as most of us, but I race to win the race. Second is honestly the worst position you could finish in because you were that close to winning. You know what I mean? Third, fourth, eighth. It is
sixth.
what it is. Like, man, we kind of sucked and we got beat, so that is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I race to win. I'm gonna approach 1,000 just like I did the other 3 races, and go to win the race. And if I get second, not good enough. Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah,
So
2 firsts and 2 seconds on the year in a points championship would kind of be a lost year.
it would just. I tell everyone, I rather would lose every race all year
And win the
have
1,000.
terrible races and win the Baja 1000.
For sure.
It all goes away. You go into the off season on a high note.
Would
But
you
yeah,
change
I
your
mean,
number or no?
I haven't thought that far ahead, Fish. I'm concentrating on winning the Baja 1000, and whatever comes next year comes next year. I mean, my number already has a 1 in it, so maybe do a little play on that. But like I said, I'm not even thinking about the championship. I'm going to win this race. The seasons have changed. Fall is here, starting to get a little cooler, and it's starting to smell like the Baja 1000, my favorite time of year.
Gotta love it. Ryan, what closing thoughts for you? Obviously, congratulations on your race win. And
Thank you. After winning the Baja 400, obviously you're on a high off of that. But as soon as you leave that race, everything focuses. I mean, the second you leave that race, you're focused on the Baja 1000. I've been fortunate enough to win that race 3 times, and like for me, the only reason we go is to race to win, and all my focus as far as that race goes is on planning logistics, making sure we have the right program together. I have a great co-driver in Dan McMillan, but it's everything to go and win that race and make sure we have the program to do it. The racing itself is what we live for doing, but to win this race, you have to have all the pieces of the puzzle in place, and most of those happen prior to even leaving and going.
For sure, you got to have it together before you get there. Luck is when opportunity meets preparedness, is what my mom used to say. One thing we didn't talk about, being first on the road. When was the last time you were first on the road in a big Baja race? And is that spot you like to be, something that concerns you? Thoughts about that?
It comes with a double-edged sword. San Felipe, I led almost the entire race up front, and obviously there's no better place to be than leading the pack. But you also, it's critical to know exactly where you're at time-wise, because you need to validate what your pace is. Am I going fast enough? Am I going just the right pace, or do I need to slow down a little bit? You need that validation because you have nothing to gauge off of at that point. Right. It literally is the best feeling in the world being the first car on the road, and it's even better when you're the first car to cross that finish line. You get your win. But there's a lot of pressure up there too. So I can't make any mistakes because he's going to be right there. You're going to be right back behind him. So you can't make any mistakes, but you still have to run a good pace because the whole rest of the field's coming.
For sure. Well,
what about you?
Closing thoughts? Really just, safety is key as far as I'm concerned. We go down there with a plan to try to win the race, but we constantly tell our guys safety, 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 and that's the message I think we need to spread all around and put together the best plan you can and just execute it smartly. Don't get in a rush, especially the chase guys. What do you got for us, Fish? You got something?
I know we're talking Baja 1000, but it is Fishgistics, and I always like to bring you guys breaking news, and this is just breaking right now real quick. So after the Baja 1000, a race that I know all you guys are really interested in, and we'll just release this, the King of the Hammers race, trophy truck race, we just had an update. So real quick, the structure for this year, it's going to be 107-mile laps. You're going to do 3 of them. So it's going to be 321 miles, and there's going to be a 20-mile qualifier. You're going to have 2 remote pits plus the main, and you're going to race on Thursday of race week. So that just came out. Just some breaking news before we shut the show off here.
Thanks, Fish.
Awesome.
So that's a little longer lap, I think, isn't it? Or
last year was like a
60
and
and 40 or something.
40.
Yeah, I thought it was like something like that, a high 70s into a smaller 40s.
Yeah.
That was a cool format, but I like that Dave, breaks it up a little bit and changes it up. I'm sure people already know, but I'm going to be racing not only the trophy truck there, but I'm teaming up with the Laser Nut number 48 racing King of the Hammers, so I'm pretty excited about that.
In Ultra 4?
Yeah.
Rad.
Yeah,
I think
we've been
do
out.
a preview show on that,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, I think that's going to be pretty amazing. I'm super stoked. We've been out driving the Hammer Trails. Cody Wagner's been doing some coaching on the rocks, and we went out and raced it at Ridgecrest. We raced it faster than we probably should have, or harder, maybe not faster, but harder, to see what we needed to work on, and we found some stuff that we needed to work on for the desert part. But I'm super stoked to have Cody helping me, and also Jason Shearer, who's a 3-time king, is going to help coach us along as well. So Jason and I have been working together on some projects, and
Very cool.
Yeah, he's superhuman. So I'm super fired up to be racing King of the Hammers, and that's we've been training and testing, and now we got to kind of put it all aside during the Baja 1000 time, and then we'll get back to it in some test sessions. But
Baja 1000 first.
Yeah, Baja 1000 first and foremost.
It's all that matters right now.
Yeah.
It's that time of the year.
Be safe out there, everybody. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Fishgistics. Share it, like it, make some comments, have some fun, cause some trouble. Remember, it's all just opinion-based. Make your own decisions. Try to make smart ones, and have a great day. Be safe. We'll see you in Baja or here at Fishgistics sometime soon.